All right, we're doing it. We're doing the thing. It's happening. It's happening. Welcome, everyone, to the Extinction Curse. To another adventure in Paizo's 2nd edition Pathfinder with 5 new players who have no idea at all how on earth it works. It's going to be a circus for a huge variety of reasons. I mean, primarily, obviously, because it is directly and openly a circus, which, now that I think about it, it's actually really logical. You guys have all played tabletop before, right? Like, it's not a totally new experience. I know, obviously, half of you have been in my parties a lot, but like, Mono, Colby, you've done some D&D and stuff.
A little bit of D&D, a little bit.
Enough to get by, yeah.
So you've played Rusty Dagger Shakedown, the first level zone where everything is a circus all of the time. So it only makes sense to just go all out and absolutely focus the entire thing around a no shit circus.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a good time. So, friends, party here. Let's go around the circle in the randomly selected order that you happen to be on the overlay that I have created, and just give a brief introduction of yourselves. We'll get to your characters, but just yourselves, however you see fit. Zinder! I think a lot of chat knows you already.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Cinder, I'm a stupid noob. And I'm back. Nothing else needs to be said, right?
I'm pretty sure I'm not legally allowed to start a campaign centered on circus performers and clowns without bringing Zindern back. Like, that would have been a sin against the entire site of Twitch.tv as a whole, really. Coming back from War for the Crown from our last campaign, Shamu36. Tell him what's up.
I'm Shinmu 36. You already knew that, so yeah. Hey, what's up? You remember me. That's all
I'm sure that. It's been a really long time since he's been on this channel, because if some of you still haven't seen, because it's incredibly hard to notify people on a channel of social media that a thing has moved to a different channel of social media, and that applies to Twitch too. He's been playing War for the Crown with us over on the Paizo channel for a year and a half. He never disappeared. He's been there the entire time, but it's been a really long time since he's been here.
That's right.
But Bryn, who's here all the time, is there any like chat introduction you can give that they're not already gonna know?
Well, the GM is my boyfriend. And then these other guys are like also here, but they're all sweethearts.
What?
So this is gonna be like the most lovey-dovey campaign ever, and it's gonna be really like nice and probably super PG, and I'm really excited to hang out with you guys.
If I know absolutely anything about Shenmue and Monolith, lovey-dovey is the first thing I would think of, too, to describe these people.
Right? That's what I thought, too. I was
But
like,
Monolith, were you to describe yourself, how would you do so? You are one of our new additions. You haven't played Pathfinder with us before at any point, but I'm pretty sure you've got your own shit going on somewhere else on this website, if I understand correctly.
I can't get off this fucking website. No matter what I do, I try. I take a day off and they're like, hey, come play Pathfinder. Like, yeah, all right. You talk me in. Hi, everybody. I'm the Monolith. The GM is also my boyfriend.
They didn't know that. They weren't supposed to know that.
Wait, are we all your boyfriend?
I was about to say, I think we're all your
Dude,
boyfriends.
come on! You can't sell me out immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a streamer on Twitch. I'm here full time. This is what I do. And on my one day off, Squiddish says, hey, come play Pathfinder. Here I am. I've never played Pathfinder, so forgive me, Pathfinder fans, for getting shit wrong and doing D&D stuff instead.
It's okay. We'll figure it out as we go, because we've got a mix of no Pathfinder experience and just D&D experience, and Pathfinder First Edition experience. And from having now played a somewhat decent amount of Second, I honestly can't tell you which is worse for trying to learn Second. You might have an easier time with D&D 5th knowledge than with Pathfinder First. But last but not least here, we have our new player over here to the side, Colby. Chad does not know absolutely anything about you. You are the wild card here.
Wild card.
What should they know?
I like to keep it all a mystery, but...
How fantastic,
Hi,
so
guys.
nothing then.
Hi guys, nothing, just like me.
All right, so he's here to be lost, run around, do strange, mysterious things, and nobody is going to know anything about him. Sounds like a start to me. That's how we build the character, with literally nothing. I'll go ahead and plug for you people, because you refuse to do so. Two of these guys here, technically two, are also streamers. Mono mentioned it. I'm pretty sure he's not streaming right now. You're not doing like a player perspective or anything, are you? So there's no secrets to be had there at this particular moment. But twitch.tv/themonolith. Just play. I don't have a cool shout out command like you do, so you just gotta like link yourself in the chat if you want to do that. You should definitely drop him a follow. He's a fucking hilarious dude, playing through literally the entire Zelda franchise right now on his own channel.
Yikes.
Which I know the vast majority of the Squiddy pool would enjoy watching. And fortunately, due to his Australian nature, our stream times don't even overlap that much. So you can largely watch both of them. And technically, he sold himself out. Twitch.tv/Zindern for some, I believe it's been pure Dead by Daylight recently that you've been slamming.
Dead by Daylight
right?
and Dark Souls 3.
Dead by Daylight and Dark Souls. So you did go back through to do the big lore playthrough. You going for it?
Yeah, I am. Very
So,
excited.
check them out. Drop them some love. Check out whatever they're doing outside of this. But for now, our regular personas aside, we have got new characters. We've got a whole new adventure to get into and a system that nobody knows how to use. So let's just get right to the Extinction Curse. Oh boy. Could anything be better than an adventure centered on a circus? And the Circus of Wayward Wonders, better than any in all of the Starstone Isles. And today, this moon day, the 24th of Callistril, the curtain is set to rise outside Aberton, a small little hamlet on the lesser-known Isle of Arran. You, 5 performers, have made your way here. You've bled for this. You've given sleepless nights and buckets of sweat to make this happen. And it's all coming together in just a few hours. Your ringmaster, Myron Thunder Steadhall, and his assistant, the Professor, have worked tirelessly to make sure you have every advantage you could possibly have heading into this. So let's talk briefly about where we are. Aberton, you may not have heard of it. Nobody has, other than the, I don't know, couple hundred, if it's even that many people who make their living here. Little farming community near the eastern coast of the smaller of the 2 Starstone Isles. Starstone Isles, of course, pretty well known throughout Galarian. The home of Absalom, the city at the heart of the world. That is not where you are. You are actually quite far from that. On the Isle of Arran, the island that also exists, kind of vaguely near Absalom, and never really took off quite as much. That's not necessarily a bad thing. People like their quiet lives, without all of their intrigues, their sieges from various sorts of armies, human or otherwise, throughout the years. And Aberton's is as good a place as any to start out. It's a fairly cool morning as you're going through your last setups here, backstage, behind the big top, whatever it is you're doing. And the people of the town have heard for the last week of what's going to happen here today. Some of them are floating around, kind of curious, trying to get a peek. A lot of your roustabouts and your general bouncer sorts, your larger roustabouts are out there making sure none of them get too close, none of them interfere with any of your setups or anything. But as you prepare for the afternoon show, we'll once again go around the table. Selwyn, my friend, what are you up to? What's going on?
I would be aimlessly walking around the circus grounds, perhaps within the tent, juggling while I talk absolute buffoonery with the rest of the circus acts.
Just being a general nuisance, more or less. General
Yes.
purpose nuisance to everybody. And so you're still practicing, right? You're walking around juggling, but most everyone is largely tending to their own business. Everyone's very focused. Obviously, I can't speak for the rest of the player characters, but a lot of your other performers here don't really have the time at the moment to buy into your shenanigans, and in some cases to even acknowledge them. But as you walk by one of your performers here, just juggling, you recognize the face of Bartholomew, one of your youngest acts of Bartholomew's Brilliant Birds. He's a fairly simple sort of young boy, only about 16, maybe 17 years old. He never really asked for specifics. Just a little bit of a mustache on his lip. You think it might be all he can grow, but it seems to be his best efforts. Very, very well up with his vest, his top hat, his magnificent cape. But at the moment, hunched over his equipment, a wire rack that drapes over his back, tirelessly going over every bit of it, making sure everything is in place. And as you come by, he just barely shoots you a glance, but you can tell he's unsettled by something.
And I would go, "Morning, Bart. You alright?"
Oh, yes, of course. It's just, take a look at these. Do you think these are too sharp? You've been with the circus for some time. Is this going to cause me problems? And he gestures you over and motions down to the bottom of his thing. He's got a very simple frame with two hooks at the top that he just loops over his shoulders, where his birds actually perch during the act so they can come out from behind his cape in magnificent fashion. You don't see anything ostensibly wrong with it, but he's pointing down to the bottom, where the wires end, where they're just connected to a couple of simple wooden poles the birds roost on while he's heading out. You don't see anything immediately out of the ordinary, but why don't you go ahead and roll me a perception check?
Will do. And I'll kneel down, still juggling.
still juggling on your knees while you look at this.
Yeah. There you are. Perception.
What, learn to navigate these
Yeah,
newer
it'll
sheets
take a little
here.
bit.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So what we got? What do we got? Read the number that you rolled.
Oh, I got a 17. Sorry, I didn't realize.
I didn't catch you up on that one, but for podcast reasons, because they can't see the thing, we read
right.
the numbers now.
Fair enough. I wasn't aware.
You haven't been around since I've been making a podcast
yeah.
of the things, and I did forget to mention that. But yeah,
For
so with a
anyone beyond the
17,
void listening- Sorry.
with a 17, you do see that the way this lays under his cape, he doesn't have anything to kind of keep his cape back off of it. It lays flat against the outside of this. So these bits of wire at the bottom, while there's nothing ostensibly wrong with them, could catch. They could very easily catch on the cloth of the thing as he pulls it up aside. And even if they don't, they're very quickly going to tear away at the bottom of his cape and ruin his costume after a few shows.
Well, Bart, if you keep it the way it is now, it's gonna fuck your cape up real bad. Do you have any alternative in mind? I say, still juggling.
At this, he just looks like doubly nervous, both by how calm you appear here, still just juggling your things on the ground as you help him out. See, that's exactly what Anzu told me, Mordrain's assistant, but I have nothing to do with it. I didn't build the thing, I had it commissioned. I don't know the first bit of working with metal or wire or anything. Do you have something that could we file them down? What do you think?
You're asking a lot of questions really quickly, Bart. Slow down. Do I have any way to fix this?
I don't know. Do you have anything on? Do you have a repair kit on you, perhaps? Because you don't have your own personal supplies. There's a bunch of tools the roustabouts have for.
A repair kit on me.
So you wouldn't have anything yourself, but there would definitely be
I'd offer to
supplies
go
at the
find it.
circus. Yeah, you could go grab for him.
Yeah. And
So what-
I walk over and grab a repair kit and come back over.
And as you go to fetch your things to help Bartholomew out with his terrifying problem of perhaps there may be an issue several shows down the road, Arabis, how are you doing? How are your preparations? Where are you?
I would probably be outside in a tree if I could find one. and my partner for the show, my wolf, would be probably sleeping underneath the tree while I'm up in it, just sort of hanging out, barefoot in a tree, calm as could be, just smearing mud and stuff on my face, getting ready for the show.
So not practicing or anything. You're just
No.
hanging out, just waiting. Fair enough. Well, while you were resting in your tree, another one of your performers, Tulip, would come by. The opposite of Bartholomew. She's been with the circus since before it was the Circus of Wayward Wonders, since back with your old gig at the Celestial Menagerie in Escadar. She'd approach alone, most of her costume done up, but with her hair down, her makeup not ready yet, and her hat not on. And just look up at the tree at you, kind of bemused. You really don't yet let nothing get to you, do you, Erebus?
No, just sort of. This is how I get ready.
Curiosity, does your wolf have a name? Because if it did and you weren't super private about it, I'm positive Tulip would.
Oh yeah, he has a
know.
name, Masako.
Masako. So Tulip would step over to Masako and just kind of kneel down a bit. And is he a friendly doggo? Does she pet the doggo, or would she know not to pet the doggo?
She would probably be apprehensive, but like she.
Well, she also works with animals. I mean,
Yeah,
Tulip's
so-
act involves a massive 12-foot boa constrictor that she hangs out with. So of anybody else here, she would be the most confident with your wolf.
Sure.
If it's not something. That's why I'm asking you. If he's not only calm to you and you specifically, it's however
He
she
could-
would normally handle him.
He could probably sense my vibe of people, so he would know that she's cool.
So she would be equally comfortable then, and would bend down and just gently pat his shoulder a bit as he lays there. Y'all got an interesting thing going. It's surprising, really. You don't
How
seem
so?
to put in near as much practice time as Bartholomew has this last week, or half the performers did back at the menagerie, and yet you come together like you were born together.
I mean, it's just I ask him to do thing for me, and I do thing for him. We're friends. Isn't that what friends do?
Oh, friends with an animal ain't something most people find common, honey. It's impressive is all. It reminds me of, well, what I thought I had back in the day, but you do just seem a class entirely different from the rest of us. It's like you can talk to the beast.
Well, I can.
Well, I mean, for serious though, outside of an act, like it understands more than just simple commands. Like you share a language of some sort. Nothing slight against it. Like I said, it's damn impressive.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I love your act as well. Where is Tickles right now?
Oh, he's inside. He's resting. It's not real the same sort. Yeah, snakes and reptiles, they don't really get to know you as much as a dog or a house cat or my old fox used to. He largely just does his own thing. I gotta put in most of the work to make him terrifying in the act. Trust me that. His little reptile brain ain't enough for more than simple tricks. Anyway, best of luck to you, babe.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Tell him I said hello.
And she kind of does an almost sarcastic curtsy. Of course I will. Before she heads back over to the tent. So, I don't really have a name for you, Lizard, but what entails the
Lizard.
day before a show for a lizard?
I would also be walking around the circus. I would making sure all the posts and all the ropes were still tight, making sure that the tent didn't just like fall down on top of everyone and cause a huge amount of panic. And so I'd probably, walk up to one of the main structural beams and shake it a little bit, make sure it's still sturdy, and wedge it forward just to make sure they're fully supported.
You came from setup. I mean, you were roustabout before, so the life of a rigger is almost more palatable to you than an actual stage performer. And even before, that's your big thing that you're looking at, making sure the tent's not going to fall down on everyone's head. Well,
Yep.
you're certainly not the only one. There's a member of your sideshow, Gadara and Elbis, the bearded man they have in the sideshow, and that seems a little odd. The sideshow with the Circus of Wayward Wonders is a little odd, or rather, they're not particularly odd. When you broke away from the Celestial Menagerie, Thunder and the Professor weren't really big fans of the classic sideshow setup, where come look at these freaks of nature and these aberrations against mankind. It's kind of sort of demeaning, isn't it? I mean, they're also people. So your sideshow of everyday marvels is something a little bit different, and the bearded man here is an actor of sorts, his face nearly completely covered by an incredibly thick layer of brown hair, a mustache near up to the bottom of his eyes, his hair coming to just right below that, massive sideburns and a beard curling halfway down his chest. If you shaved it off, you probably would have no chance at recognizing this man whatsoever. He's at least just 80% facial hair. He also prefers, before the show, to spend some time with the roustabouts, going around, making sure all the things are set up, making sure that the stands are in place and gods forbid, won't collapse or have any structural problems, and like you, that the tents are in place. But he's not a particularly talkative sort outside of his show. Are you?
Nope.
It's a friendly silence.
I was thinking you just do the shake and say nothing.
A friendly silence, then. You've been working together for some time. You two probably largely headed up setting the tent and everything up together, but there's no words need to be exchanged. There's a show that needs to be put on. Zerg Batsky. How about you, then, friend?
Zorg is oiling himself up. Very oily, very greasy, very good.
Gotta make sure you're properly shiny so you can show off those massive half-orc muscles to the crowds and give them the proper impression.
Yes. Sitting, having a little bit of oil on everywhere except the hands. You don't know what slippy is not good.
You got grip's important. Grip's certainly important, and who would know that more than one of the Flambonia sisters, another one of your main headliner acts here. And Jalessa, one of the sisters, would be preparing nearby. I imagine the two of you probably share this oil, but for incredibly different reasons. You to oil up your manly body, and her to soak the ends of her batons and make sure that when her acts begin, they'll be able to catch properly. She's also a juggler, much like Selwyn, but they work as a pair, the two twins, and with a bit more burning and a bit less blade. But as she stands nearby with a box of her batons in her hands, just sort of waiting, watching as you oil yourself up, kind of in awe, as she sets the box down and kind of makes a very small motion sort of to get your attention, like she's afraid of addressing you directly.
Good.
And when that doesn't find any success, she just folds her hands in front of her and...
Look up. Yes. Can I help?
Sorry, Mr. Batsky, sir. I was just, wondering if you're about done with the oil. We don't have much left after our last few practices, and I believe you've got all of it there. We just need a bit to soak our batons when you're done.
Well, I've used about 6 bottles.
He looked out at the crate in front of you and just the empty bottles splattered across the floor.
I think I can probably spare these. It's probably got maybe that much left of a bottle this big. It's very little left of this bottle, and there's some full bottles behind me.
She'll take that. Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Batsky, sir. And she kind of tilts it a bit, shakes it to see if there's anything in there. Makes a very slight amount of, almost a tinkling more than a sloshing with how little is left back in there. I will, we'll make do. Thank you, sir. Backs away fairly quickly towards her identical sister, waiting a little further by some more of the roustabouts and the Kambalis, looking through their tightrope gear. So, Ara or Arlulu? I see as you have listed, Arlulu would technically be your first name, but you go by Ara, correct?
Yes.
So, Ara, what are you, first of all?
I am a little leafy.
No better place
Oh.
for a Leshy than the circus, I suppose.
And no better place than a little leshy.
So what do
Um,
you... Well, you have an interesting act to prepare for, and, well, what are you tending to this morning as everyone's getting ready?
I am wandering around as well, walking up to other acts as they prepare and doing little mocked acts of their acts. Nowhere near as skilled, but very, very playful.
So you're an interesting creature. Physically, you're very small as a Leshy, and you look largely like a little, almost potato-headed wooden doll, just kind of walking around with some leafy bits and some twigs just wrapped around and kind of sprouting off of you. But you're certainly a sight just by merit of your very existence, and at this point most of the show would also be very familiar with your shenanigans. You're certainly not the only one here who is occasionally you're not so much of a pain. I'm not going to say you're not making fun of them. You're kind of making fun of them, but it's all in good fun. Whereas Yagi and the Dwarven Throwers would be handling much the same, and you'd probably pass by each other. And you'd find Yagi, the head of the throwing team, these 4 Dwarven acrobats who pitch each other across the ring with all of their might, over also by the Kambalis and the Flamboni sisters. You're all pretty positive that Zerg doesn't have the only source of oil in the entirety of the circus, and it's curious that the Flambonis can't find any more. But as Juliessa brings this bottle back to her sister and then puts it down where the rest of them should have been, as soon as she turns away to talk to her sister, you see Yagi slip around the corner, take that bottle to go stash it and hide it back where he had hidden all of the rest of them. And he sees you looking, Ara, and with a massive grin on his bearded face, just holds a finger up. Don't say nothing. As he creeps off away.
This one won't say nothing if you throw this one as well.
You see the other 3 Dwarven Throwers back a little further near the edge of the tent backstage, all of them just snickering, faces over their mouths. 2 of them doing a decent job of looking somewhat nonchalant, while the third one has to largely hide behind a crate entirely because he can't just keep his shit together at this point. A crate that you are positive at this point is filled with oil flasks. And Yagi motions for you to come over with him to the rest of his brothers. We can throw a dwarf. We can certainly throw a shrub, I figure.
Yeah, I just walk over to him.
So, the rest of the morning passes without any real incident, as mundane as it can, regardless of the meddling of the Dwarven Thrower team. Everyone gets their acts together. They get their goods. They get their props, their assistants, their team workers, whatever they need to prepare for the big show. And at the heart of it all is Thunder, your ringmaster, who heads outside just maybe an hour after noon to address the slowly growing crowd gathering around the sideshow of everyday marvels as they've headed out to start to warm the crowd up for you a little bit. No matter where you are around the tent, whether you're in it, behind it, or even off in Aberton somewhere fetching some last-minute supplies, you can certainly hear the booming voice of Thunder, as that is how he got his nickname, after all, calling out across the crowd, "Come one! Come all! The Circus of Wayward Wonders tent opens for all the good men, women, and children of Abberton. Come see our wonders held within. What marvels await you? A few silver pieces, and you too can have a front ring seat to all of the afternoon shows. As the crowds begin to filter in, and truly his voice does ring out across the city, drawing what looks like damn near literally everybody out of their homes towards the circus. Again, not a terribly massive town. Certainly everyone in the entirety of Abberton can hear this man. And as we come closer to curtain, as our preparations are finished, as it is time for the show to go on, everyone gathers together for their final moments of preparation. Does anyone have anything of particular interest or necessity that you need to do right before the curtain, right before everything is done? Your last minute readiness. I know at least two of you are working together on a show here.
Yeah, we just have to make sure the bars, for various things, and all of our strongman kind of things are all. We have new ones. Make sure that we can rebend them.
Make sure everything functions. Nothing's going to break. Nothing's going to fall apart. Well, that isn't supposed to fall apart. That isn't rigged necessarily. Even Arubis would have come backstage by this point with your wolf, ready in case you are called to go on, as the circus is kind of a procedural event. It's an interesting thing. It's run very loosely. There's no set order of go. There's no locked-in schedule. Thunder has a plan. Thunder knows his men, his women, his actors. He knows everything he has available to him. And he makes the calls as the show proceeds. And if somebody flops or if somebody knocks out of the park with a spectacular performance, he knows exactly how to follow along and capitalize. So as we head in to the main event, our grand performance, the opening night, let's get a quick refresher onto what that means for everybody. The Circus of Wayward Wonders is going to be putting on a 3-ring circus in your big top. This is all the stoppers. This is the full event. This is exactly everything you think when you think of a big top circus show. It's going to take place in 4 acts. An opener to warm the crowd up, to drop the silence across the chatter of everyone awaiting whatever is going to take place tonight, of 1 single act in the center ring. Following that, the build-up commences in both of the side rings simultaneously. 2 of your performing groups, of which you have many at your disposal. 10, I believe. 4 here amongst us, and then 6 various acts of your show that have come along with you so far. They're all ready to perform. The left and the right ring simultaneously to lead us in to the main event. The center. Whatever at the time Thunder thinks will be the best capitalization, the best way to really sell the Circus of Wayward Wonders premiere. Alone in the center ring, with none to assist them, before finally the finale draws us all out with all 3 rings performing at once. So there's going to be a total of 7 different shows. Sorry, I just bumped my mic. Going on throughout here. So before we begin, we here at the show, of course, have briefly covered the circus rules. And if you, in the chat, watching this right now, or listening via podcast when I get that together, are unfamiliar with either the rules of Pathfinder 2nd Edition or the rules of running a circus, which you couldn't possibly know unless you had exactly this new adventure path Paizo just put out pretty recently, don't worry about it. Because like I said at the beginning, we're all pretty new at this. And I'm going to run this fairly introductory. We're going to have to introduce concepts and mechanics and just the general mode of play as we progress. So don't worry about being left behind or any requisite knowledge you're going to need to have to follow along. We'll cover all of that. So I believe each of you stand ready with your signature tricks, should Thunder call upon you to prepare today. We've covered some of your supporting actors. Bartholomew's brilliant birds, his trained doves and pigeons he hides underneath his cape to fly out to the audience and deliver sweets to the children, amuse and entertain. Tulip and Tickles, the lady with her massive boa constrictor, the Flamboni sisters and their fire juggling, the dwarven throwers. But what do you do? What do you bring to the circus? What is your performance, your craft that you have been honing for the year on the road leading up to the big day here? Selwyn, I think we kind of put yours together largely, but you want to elaborate for us?
Unsurprisingly, Selwyn is a juggler. And my act is composed through 2 stages. One is the juggling act itself, and then there's the floors at the end, the finish. So Selwyn will start with juggling 2 daggers, then another, until it's like 5 or 6. And as it gets more and more hectic, at the end there's a crescendo where there will
I want
be...
to spoil the entire thing now.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna wait for that to go on. I want give me like a surface level of what we're doing here. I think we're probably fine there. But we gotta wait. Your big moment's gotta be your big moment here. Just in case Thunder doesn't call you, so we don't miss you entirely. So
I juggle daggers.
Don't spend all this time. You juggle daggers. All right. Artemis. I have to think for like 3 full seconds every time I go to pronounce your name because my every instinct wants to say Erebus, and I'm like, it's not Erebus. You wanted Artemis. I'm not gonna CRN you again. I'm gonna do the name how you want it to be said. I'll get there, but right now every time I go to say your name, if I freeze for 2 seconds, that's why.
You'll get there eventually. My act is kind of like starts with like interpretive dance, and then Wolf gets involved into it. And crowd might even get involved. Who knows?
Okay, so you have this tamed beast from the wild that you dance with. An interesting show to be certain. Like Tulip said, much more involved than what she has going on because your wolf is much more capable than her massive boa constrictor. Hers largely relies on look at Big Snack, whereas you have your wolf doing a whole lot of fancy things. So, Zerg and Lizard Man, you two perform together, correct?
Nah. Yes.
So what's the cliff notes on your performance here, strongman?
Zerg is the strongest strongman alive. The strongest.
I'm pretty sure I'm stronger than you.
You're wrong.
Yeah, well.
It's
Fortunately,
okay to be wrong, it's alright.
Well, we'll see once we get into the arena.
Yes, we will see indeed.
I want to see this match.
Of course, nothing could possibly play better into Shenmue 36, the person's interests, than exactly what's going to be going on with these two. But Ara, our small, adorable Leshy friend, what is your performance? What does a tiny potato head doll do in the ring?
Mine is an act and feat of bravery, as it is a tightrope act with no net. What comes next is a surprise.
Wow. So there's more than just a tightrope, I'm fairly certain.
Yes.
Because your tightrope's not particularly high and your performance isn't terribly intricate, but there is another facet that makes it interesting that we will get to when the time comes. So, as everyone gathers around backstage, everyone moving to their places, everyone getting the last bit of their props together, ready to raise the curtain. We're waiting. There's an elephant outside. Yeah, he's not going to be part of today's show, though. I'm pretty sure we're not bringing him in. That's not the cue we're looking for. This tent, this big top here, where we're backstage, is massive. It can hold hundreds of people. And peeking through to the rings, it looks like that's for the best, as nearly the entire population of the city is here, jostling for seats, peering at the rings, waiting for something to start.
Why did Thunder stop yelling? What is this? Aren't we supposed to be starting soon?
You notice that several of the performers closest to the curtain, separating the 3 rings from this little backstage area here, are starting to trickle away from their posts, forming a small crowd in front of a stack of crates, boxes, and supplies, where a few of the roustabouts have also kind of dropped what they're doing and moved to go look.
I'll sprint over to the crates. I want to see what's going on.
I'll wander over there as well.
kind of like hop up into like someone's shoulders because I'm not very tall.
I was about to say I go under their legs.
You go over, Aura goes under. But everyone gathers to look, and the mood sort of drops as you get closer here. It's this excited, this almost electric energy coursing through everyone backstage has been replaced by hushed whispers and gasps. At the center of this ring, contorted as if caught forever in the throes of terrible pain, is the corpse of the ringmaster, Myron Thunder, lifeless.
I didn't do it.
Well, obviously you didn't do it.
I would hope not.
Well, somebody did.
And as everyone is gathered around here and more people kind of filter towards this, the professor comes up. You know him, the head of your sideshow. He's kind of the second in command here. And he comes toward to see what's happening and pushes his way through to the center of this group and looks down in similar shock at Thunder's body.
Step back.
Is
I
he-
know. I know a bit about
No,
searching
afraid
dead
it's
bodies.
too late, and we've little time for that, Lizard. And he kneels down and quickly just unfastens the ringmaster's cape, taking it off and laying the black silken cloth across him just to cover the body. And everyone in the group here kind of falls quieter as he does this, and he stands back up and looks around. Well, what are you all standing around for? Have you seen the crowd? We haven't ever had the tent packed this full. There's a show to put on, and we have to find a way to do it. Finish your makeup, get into your costume, send in the clowns. I'll
we're just
handle the
gonna
crowd. The show must go on.
Oh, we're just gonna leave his carcass here.
We've little time to deal with it now. We'll handle it when we can, but quick, to your places. You, Lizard, Zerg, Erebus, Aura, Selwyn. To me, if you will.
I'll walk up to him.
Yep. Gather around.
This.
Sir?
I'll handle the crowd outside and the logistics and management that Thunder usually takes care of, but you five, you've been with the circus as long as anyone. I need you to figure out the order of go. We need an opener. Sort it out amongst yourselves and the performers and send someone on. You'll be in charge of managing the show tonight, understand?
Aye, Kevin.
All right, then
Okay.
get to it! And with that, without a further word, he turns around and does exactly what he said. Heads back through the curtain, out to the rings to handle the crowd and make sure everything is running as it can. But for now, somebody needs to go on. Someone is going to have to open the show. This is one trick alone in the center ring. You can choose any of your own acts or any of the NPC performers that you have with you, your supporting cast, who you've got, just as a quick refresher, Bartholomew's Brilliant Birds, who's never actually performed before. He just showed up about a week ago with his act all ready together, his birds trained, his costume ready, his props prepared to petition Thunder to go on opening night. But never actually got back to him with an answer, and now that's going to fall to you. You know Tulip. Behind you, she's the next one who's been here the longest, and she's been a very close personal friend of Thunder since back at the menagerie. The Featherfall Five are a group of performers who also came with you from the menagerie. High tightrope artists who work together with balance beams and gymnastics to sell their trick. You have the Flamboni sisters, of course, jugglers who as well came across from long ago, and then you've got a couple of other slightly newer acts. Those dwarven throwers who are not completely unseasoned. They've worked in some of your practice performances and some of your setups. They've been around for a few months, much longer than Bartholomew, but they've never acted in one of your main shows yet, as this is the first of them. And then your second newest, Mordrain the Magnificent, a magician of great pedigree and skill, as her manager, Anzu, will be very quick to let everyone know. Everyone knows about Mordrain. She was brought on by Thunder as a headliner, one of the most proficient here on the Isle of Erin in the entire region, to help the show. And as the professor leaves the group of you behind to figure out exactly what it is you're going to do, how you're going to manage tonight's show. Bartholomew scurries over to you immediately. Oh, please. Did he put you in charge of the order? Has he given it to you? I can do your opener. I promise. I'll tell you the same thing I've told Thunder 1,000 times. And he looks down at the sheet-covered body and kind of stops for a second. He had faith in me. I just know it. Let me go.
Poor timing. Are you sure you want to be the opener and not one of the main acts?
Well,
you-
I'm not. I suppose I'm not familiar with the scheduling and the logistics and as much, and what it all goes into all of that. But I just mean my act is ready. Whenever you need me.
Doug, you're looking exceptionally green at the moment. Do you need a
I
moment?
feel very green. I think I need more oil. I'll be right back. I'm nervous.
Strong man. You see this strong man? Strong man.
Typical. Okay.
Whoa.
Team, I have a suggestion. Well, two. One,
My oil.
either I do the opener, it's very safe, or we set Mordrain to do it because it'd be very funny.
Why would it be funny?
Because she wants to be the main act. She wants to be the finale. She does the show first. She'll be pissed.
Sounds like a great way to determine our order of go. Who can we piss off the most of our associates?
No, it's that one person. Anyway, jokes aside, I believe I should be the first one. I do think I have a great overview of what happens, and once the open is over, that's where the more complex things happen, and we'll need that, overhead.
So you're
All right.
saying you have the brain, and we should maybe keep the brain for later.
Brain might be pushing it, but I do have the understanding.
Do you have a big brain?
That's not what I said. All right.
I think she has a very big brain, but we've all known that.
Oh.
But I agree, actually. I feel like we could use some strategy later.
Just a safe opener. If I fuck it up, I fuck it up. I don't think I will. But,
There's the
All right. So, the juggling dynamo, Selwyn, is going to head out first to open the show. And as you gather your things together, fortunately, it's also pretty convenient that you don't require a bunch of setup. You don't need to set up tight ropes or anything. There's nothing that has to be large or structurally planted for you to perform. You kind of just go out with a bunch of knives and commence your juggling. At most, need roustabouts to bring a couple crates of things out with you as your performance goes on, for you to continue to up the ante. So as you head out from the curtain, the professor is out there addressing the crowd, and he, almost as if in step with you, is just turning around to leave the center ring open for you. And the crowd is ready. Hundreds of them spread out there among the stands. And let me bring us over here to a quick little show of the area. You've got a pretty big tent here and a pretty big area in the backstage for you to ready. But Selwyn, as you head out front alone, oh man, is the big top relatively full with a whole lot of faces. But this is your moment. And as you head out to take center stage, let me briefly explain the mechanics of how this functions. For those of you watching who may have absolutely no Pathfinder or even tabletop knowledge whatsoever, preface it to say that all of our characters have an assortment of skills and abilities that make them who they are. And for the moment, for this performance, what matters most is which of those is pertinent to your act. And with your specific brand of showmanship, Selwyn, what would that be?
My specific would be involving the role of thievery, as I am trying to basically obfuscate what's going on as I juggle more and more daggers.
Trying to make it, while it is an impressive act inherently, trying to make it look even more impressive than it actually is. Because it is a show, after all, and there's hundreds here to entertain. So, as we begin, Selwyn, you take the center stage. The crowd is ready. They're excited, but they haven't seen anything quite yet. Go ahead and begin your performance. What do you do? Now is the time for the detailed act.
Right. You want me to roll first, yeah? That was...
Yes. As you take the stage, go ahead and roll your first trick check. Now, you've got 3 actions to perform. It's going to be a recurring theme in 2nd edition. You have 3 actions every turn, and your act is performed much like a regular turn. As your first action, you are going to perform. So give me an acrobat, or a thievery roll, sorry.
Yes. So... I am somewhat absent-minded since I just witnessed a murder, essentially, or someone dying. We don't know yet. Pointing fingers. But I face the crowd.
It's not necessarily a murder.
Give them all a cheeky grin, flash the smile, give them a curt bow as I begin my act, and slid out a dagger from one of my, my wrists, like one of my, what's that called?
Your sleeves.
Sleeves, yes, thank you.
Very distracted by the death.
Yeah, and I'll start juggling the first one. Looks kind of boring, right? And then I flick another one out of the sleeve, and then another, and another. And I keep getting more and more daggers out until there's like, let's say 6, just for simplicity. And towards the end, there is a big target on the stage, and as the daggers
don't go all the
down,
way through yet, because there might be more to this act. This is the beginning of your act, because unless you don't want to perform anymore, unless you want to stop right here, in which case go for it. But just as this is the first act, to clarify, you can continue performing, and since your trick does have the agile trait, you can continue performing more effectively than most people can. And if you want that one action, you don't have to push your luck any further. But as you begin this performance, as you open up with this, everyone falls silent for a moment, just kind of getting quieter with the first knife and quieter still with the second and the third. And as you build it up, it gets louder, much louder, actually, as cheers and whistles start to ring out through the crowd. They're into it. That's a success on your first check to perform.
How many successes did I need for the opening act to be a success?
So this is Act 1 itself is just simply this and this alone. You are the only trick. And each act is successful if it has more successes than failures. So you could end your act here. You've gone out, you've performed, you've done well, the crowd's buying it. If you stopped right now, the act would be successful. Right. Because it's got more successes than failures. But even if you tried again and you failed, you can still use your third action to finish with the clowns. So unless you critically fail your second check, the act is still going to be a success.
Okay. Well, if there's no risk, yeah, I'll try for the second.
There is some risk, but there's not zero risk.
No risk is much.
Okay.
So as you continue to up the ante, you have these 6 knives juggling. Go ahead and roll me another trick check, now at a -4, as you continue to try to push the performance.
Right.
It's only at a -4 because you're agile, so it's not as bad as the full penalty for some tricks might be.
How do I apply the -4? Is it just I just roll the skill check and then?
You can either just roll the skill check and then add 4, like
I'll do
afterwards.
That.
Okay.
Hey, I got a 19, which on a -4 is a 15.
That is a second success. So, how does your performance continue?
Well, feeling myself right, I up the ante. I push in a few more daggers. I've been hiding a few for this very purpose. More and more, and this is like a whirlwind, and I start like dancing around the stage as well, like flicking some underneath the leg and like doing like cool tricks along the way. Before finally, I'll finish out here. I'll coast the rest of the way. I'm not pushing my luck any further.
Yeah, we'll start with -8 if you want to try it again.
Yeah. And as each dagger comes down, I flick him into the target. As close to the center as possible until there's no daggers in my hand, and I do a bow.
So as he is finishing his act here, everyone backstage, whether you're peeping through the curtains trying to get a look at what's going on or just preparing yourselves for your own act, you can hear the roar of the crowd. They are beyond buying into it. They're excited, and with 2 successes to perform, you retire backstage. The opening act of the Big Top, a great success. So, the way this is recorded is by excitement. It's a literal mechanic that you're building up as you're going out and succeeding at your various performances here. And for 2 successes, you have raised the excitement here in the tent. Now, you've been hyping up this show for a while. It's been some time, at least a week, that Thunder and the rest of you have been going through the town trying to get, well, to get absolutely everybody to show up to what's going on. So there's a whole lot of anticipation here in the tent. With the circus, it's not even necessarily about individual performances or about you. There's no like flat metric of being good. It's about those expectations. It's about making sure your excitement can live up to the hype of the crowd that you have spent a week sowing throughout the community of Everton. And so far, you're doing a damn good job. In addition, since the opening act here was a success, the crowd is warmed up, they're ready, they're receptive. All of the rest of the tricks that are performed for the rest of the show are going to be a little bit easier. They're already bought in. They want this to happen. And as Selwyn comes back behind stage once more, with a cheering crowd behind her, you gotta follow that up. You gotta continue.
I'll make a triumphant bow as I come back out. See? Easy.
That was superb, Selwyn. Very
Easy.
impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
This one wants to go out.
Well, now this is the build-up. So you're going to need 2 acts. One for the left ring and one for the right.
How many acts are there in the climax? Like the third act? Is
The
there 4
third
acts
act
or
has
3?
all 3 rings going simultaneously. There's 4 acts.
4 acts. Gotcha. Right. Well, if Aura wants to go on, I think that seems fine. I think Bartholomew deserves a chance, given that the opener went well. Worst
Alright.
case, he fucks up and we know not to trust him another time, right?
Richard.
Don't fuck it up.
Bart's got this, right, Bart? And I'll tap him on the shoulder.
Bart's got this.
Yeah.
And
Well, even if you
as
don't believe in yourself, you can believe in us who believes in you.
and as you clap him on the shoulder there, and he kind of nods, steeling himself, readying for the curtain that he's about to pass through, Aura heads out with some of the roustabouts to ready his tripwire, his tightrope. I don't want to say, my brain keeps wanting to say tripwire because we're playing Pathfinder. His tightrope, his hoops, everything else he needs for his performance, while Bartholomew dons his cage, ushers all of the birds back onto the rails behind it, and heads to take the stage. So, Aura, as you head out into the right ring here, what is your focus of your character that you're distilling an essence in this trick? What skill are we using?
We are using intimidation in order to kind of get the crowd to be nervous for me in my during my act.
Feed that fear. So as you head on out, go ahead and roll me your trick check.
Oh no!
There it goes.
Now, that is a natural 1, so that is a critical failure. So, Aura, how does your performance go?
Well, as I climb up, the rings are not set on fire as they're probably supposed to be, and to my surprise, I fall off immediately. That is how
So-
my start of my performance goes.
you head out. You're supposed to have these hoops around your tripwire. That's the extra hook, right? That's the lead. This little wooden leaf man leaping through these burning rings, but they just don't catch. You can't get them aflame. The roustabouts are having difficulty. Something's wrong. They're not igniting properly. And as you go to climb up, you're
Probably don't have
distracted
enough
by
oil,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a coffee oil. But they won't ignite. Perhaps Yagi's shenanigans have finally actually caused a huge problem. And you're up on the tightrope, kind of waiting, and distracted by this. Yeah, sort of absentmindedly, you fall off, and the crowd sort of loses some of this energy as they see difficulty, as this act isn't coming on properly like it's supposed to. Obviously, things are going wrong, and the excitement kind of comes down. In fact, back in the corner in one of the stands, you actually hear some uproarious laughter coming out from a particularly drunk group of townsfolk. One of whom stands up in his seats and just calls out, "What the fuck is this piece of shit doing?" At the which his mates just laugh all the harder.
Oh no.
At this, Bartholomew is coming out to the left ring to perform alongside you. Fortunately, you are not completely alone here. You've got two acts going simultaneously. Except Bartholomew has frozen. Right as he goes to the curtain here, as he goes to pass through, he moves it aside and he sees everyone spread out before him. And he locks up.
I'll walk up to Bartholomew.
And as he turns around and drops the curtain behind him, he just looks down at you, his face absolutely pale white. Beads of sweat forming on his brow. And he just looks down at you, his mouth tight, and just shakes his head.
Alright, you can do this. Don't look at them, look at me. You'll be fine. Alright? Just go out there and do it. It doesn't matter if you fuck up. That fucking thing up on the tightrope already ruined it. So
and that's all unfolding as he's going to head out. Because this is simultaneous on these two acts. That's not making him feel any better here.
Look, you can do it. I believe in you. You've practiced this for so long. You can do it.
Selwyn, you said don't fuck it up. Now he shouldn't fuck it up then, right?
Travis, not now.
Selwyn or Arbus, as you hear trying to kind of push him into this, make me a diplomacy check, whoever wants to do it, to try to convince him here.
I rolled a 21.
21 is very solid, so you kind of shoot Arbus off as you turn back to Bartholomew. You can do this. He takes a deep breath.
Just look out here, don't look at the people. Just look at me, alright?
Right.
Go get him, champ.
I got this. And he turns around, pushes the curtain aside, and strides out towards the left ring to do his performance. His confidence renewed, as it appears you have been able to successfully encourage him to take the stage. And as he heads out the center, he raises one side of his cloak, where one bird emerges before the other, and a second coming forth as he makes his trick check. I don't have the fancy stat rolling blocks like you guys do for all these NPCs, so it's just gonna look like a die roll. But with a natural 20! You put it in him!
Not only did we get a nat 1, we got a nat 20.
Bartholomew,
duo.
you talked him up and he is doing it! Momentary stage fright behind him. He strides towards the ring as everything works perfectly, drawing distraction away from the failure on the other side of the ring, where Ara is having difficulty getting his rings lit, getting his performance going. He takes this absolute spotlight. He takes all of the attention as everyone turns to him. These first two birds, one flying out from the right, one flying out from the left, each loop across each other around the stands, gliding low, only a foot, maybe two above the crowd, just high enough so that no particularly drunk individuals could reach up and do anything to them, do anything possibly harmful. But still, a lot of the children, some of the parents encouraging them to raise their hands up near these birds as they zoom by before they circle back around the ring and land one each perfectly on Bartholomew's shoulders as he takes the stage raises his hands to the sky and prepares to continue his act. And as he does, as these birds fly by, you have these same kind of drunken louts up in the corner who just, led by their one friend so far, seeming to have gotten a decent reaction. He calls out again as the birds just fly by him. We can see birds outside! We paid coin for this! And the rest of his friends again just breaking into uproarious laughter. Erebus, Selwyn, Lizardman, these drunks are going to be a problem. You're going to need to address this while the acts are performing. So I mean, you can let it run its course, but I mean, you can tell that these guys are a nuisance. They're kind of drawing some glares from families and merchants, farmers sat around them who just want to enjoy the show. They are definitely bringing down your excitement.
Right.
I can take him outside if you would like.
Well, let's try talking to the man first, but you should come with me.
I could talk to him outside if you would like.
Can I watch?
You can
No
absolutely
offense,
watch.
But you don't seem the most diplomatic of sorts. Is that a fair assessment?
He does not seem like the most diplomatic of sorts.
Right. Okay. You can follow me. I'll lead the
I'll
way.
follow.
Oh well. Yeah, I guess that works. I'll walk out.
So, Arvis, are you wanting to come with them to watch, or you want to watch from here? Because you can certainly see this from backstage here.
I was gonna come with them
Oh, yeah.
if they
you
let
can-
me.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can absolutely do
I
that.
just want to watch.
Yeah.
All right. So the
Arbus,
three
you
of
gotta promise me, keep quiet until I say so.
I promise.
the three of you head around the outside here in front of the stands, skirting down, trying not to block the view of anyone as you approach these drunken ruffians yelling towards the ring and really bringing down the mood of your opening act. So, Ara, you have performed for one action, so you have a resource here. You got a guy backstage, goes by the name of Tony Two Toes. He's the leader of your troupe of clowns, and circuses employ clowns for a variety of reasons, but distraction and misdirection is very much one of them. In addition to using an action to perform, you can use an action to signal Tony from the back to bring out the clowns and just turn this buffoonery into what appears to be intentional buffoonery. And since you critically failed your last check, if you called the clowns, that will be upgraded to a regular failure. Or you can try to perform and redeem yourself, but you will take the -5 penalty for your second performance. What do you want to do?
I think I want to risk trying to perform again.
He's going for it, ladies and gentlemen. The absolute mad lad.
Ara the Undaunted, as they call
So,
him.
you do keep in mind that you have the +1 from your trick trait involving fire. Using the flames makes it easier for you to intimidate the crowd with this sense of danger, but you do also have a -5. So you're going to be at a net -4 on this performance check. So go ahead and roll me your next attempt.
Oh no.
So that is going to be a 10, which is a failure. Not a critical failure, but a regular failure. So, Ara, what happens?
Well, I think this time the fire's still just not there, so I just go on with the trick as it would be if the fire were there. So it's just a regular failure, and I realize that I'm flooding it completely, and I think we need to send in the clowns.
So you're just kind of tottering around on a tripwire, just kind of tumbling through some hoops, but it maybe never really occurred to you how much the fire really added with a sense of danger until you didn't have it. And it looks like a kindergartner's gymnastics course without the fire, really. It's not impressive at all. It's quite a wild disappointment, actually.
Tell me about it.
So, on the other side of the ring, Axel is riding high. off of his previous success, and he is absolutely going to perform again. He doesn't even seem to notice what's happening on the stands directly in front of him here with these drunken louts. He is putting on a show. And with the -5 for performing a second time, he is going to end up here.
Oh.
With a 13, just failing. And a failure is not like doesn't lower the excitement. It doesn't make anything worse. It just doesn't really raise it either. It's just par for the course. So after this entrance, after his surge of adrenaline, he raises his cloak, and the rest of the birds fly free out towards the crowd. They're trained to seek out children around the crowd, to fly down to them and to deliver them small pieces of wrapped candy as a part of his appeal. But as they all sail out, drop their candy into the laps of children, and then just kind of circle for a moment, looks like Bartholomew notices, well, what's in front of him. And certainly Selwyn, Aribus, and the Lizard Man coming out to address it together draws his attention. And he relapses a little bit, kind of recedes. He forgets to signal his birds back. And the audience is just sort of treading water here. He does eventually compose himself, call them back to finish off his main act here, having made a spectacular entrance and a perfectly serviceable show, a follow-up overall. Now, perhaps the problem is that he opened too well, as a critical success here is not only going to increase the excitement of the crowd, it is also going to increase their anticipation, raising their hopes for what's going to come next. Meanwhile, while this act continues, Selwyn, the Lizard Man, and Aribus approach these drunkards at the front of the stands.
Can I use prestidigitation to specifically slightly wet a piece of clothing?
I would certainly say you could.
Alright. On the way, since everyone's attention is drawn towards the crowd, I'd locate the person screaming, and I would wetten up a particular area of his clothes before we address him.
So as he stands up, he does, of course, notice this. It's not exactly subtle. He feels his pants moisten. And he looks down, confused and enraged, as his friends in front of him certainly also notice, and turn their laughter from the acts that are going on back towards their buddy. Then what happens?
I would like to walk up to him and tell him, well, if you can't hold your water, can you at least hold your tongue?
Oh, that's good.
Are you going to try to request he leave politely via diplomacy?
I would like to intimidate him.
Oh, you gonna? That's all I wasn't sure. I was like, because I'm not sure where you go. You can absolutely try to intimidate him.
Yeah. To either stay silent or leave. Both work for me. And can my lizard friend here help me? Because he is very imposing.
If he wants to step in, he can certainly attempt to aid you. I will tell you, aiding is a lot different in 2nd edition, and it is much harder. It is DC 20 to aid.
Okay.
So it is
there
difficult
any
at first.
failure on it?
If he critically fails, he will make your check worse.
Okay.
Which means if he gets less than 10.
Yeah.
So, but it's up to him if he wants to aid you, but if you're not willing to accept his aid, he doesn't even get the option.
Yeah, no, I just did it on my own then.
Alright, so you're gonna step up and just go for it. Make me an intimidate check.
I am a 22.
Very intimidating.
Yeah, you are, I mean, this man,
Scary.
as far as he can tell, just pissed himself and doesn't even understand why this happened. It's not even warm. He doesn't know what's going on. And now, Clown, we just saw tossing a whole lot of knives, a woman covered in mud, and a hulking lizard person, just mean mugging him from behind, I'm sure, have approached. And, the man, cowed, sort of just nods his head and decides to dip out.
That's what I thought.
One of his friends, however, or both of his friends, aren't quite as simple. One of them steps down and raising a finger, pointing it accusatory at Selwyn. Aye, we paid good silver to be here, just as everyone else did, lass.
Can I retroactively use my group coercion on that person?
Oh, you have that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Was not aware that you had a thing. So as he steps down, we get a better view at you. And, well, the large lizard man. You know what? Fine. Well, a good show anyway. And both him and his friend fuck off. Instant value from group coercion. Absolutely, you can use that. And so with that situation settled, all that's left is for the second act to come to a close. So, Ara, you have one action left. You can still call for the clowns. It will turn your failure into a success, as their distraction kind of helps you end your show and wind down here.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna have to happen.
That's what's gonna have to happen. It didn't go super fantastically, but, you know, you did your best. Technical difficulties happen, and trust me, I know this better than absolutely anybody else that is alive.
Oh, it's all Zerg's fault, so...
By the way, Zerg, while you were gone, you fucking ruined Ara's act. You oil-stealing madman. The rings wouldn't white!
I feel much better. I feel good.
You look great.
As you call the clowns in, you're left able to make your act end, well, on an amusing note. It makes you feel bad that Tony Two Toes and his troupe of clowns seem to have put on a better show than you did, but it's not entirely within your control. You did what you could. You recede behind stage, sort of crestfallen. As Axel heads back out, the high from his strong opening very much gone. But, on the whole, absolutely a successful performance from him.
I'm gonna high-five Bard.
Bart. Bartholomew. You high-five Bart as he comes in. And that is, at the end of the day, a successful act. You had a critical failure, but you had an equal critical success to level it out. And with that success at the end of Ara from the assistance of the clowns there, you had more successes than failures. So, good news. You're going to pick one of the acts, either Bartholomew's or Ara's. And they're going to slightly raise the anticipation in the audience here from their success, from their successful act. And they're going to carry forward a bonus to whoever you send out as the big number. Now, since they're both level 1 acts, the choice doesn't particularly matter. You're going to get one anticipation regardless. So at the end of the day, after that act, you raise the excitement level a little bit. But you raise the bar a surprising amount here. But it's time. It's time for the big number. This is your headliner. This is your single center ring, what everything of the circus has been building to so far. Bartholomew killed it. Selwyn did great. Ara tried.
That's all that matters.
As Ara walks out, I'd hand him a huge, or like a big tankard of ale as he walks by, and I'd look at Zerg, and I'd flex at Zerg, and I'd look down at the little plant.
I look at Zerg and I flex at Zerg and said, "That went great."
I'll look at the ale and think, how the hell do plants process alcohol?
A question I was also contemplating.
I'll also look at the tankard and motion towards my not mouth.
I'm just looking at my hands, trying to understand what the whole clapping of the hands thing was that they did when he high-fived him.
Do we just water him with the ale? Is that how it works?
Don't know. Find out.
Maybe after the show.
Who is going to be your headliner? Who is going to head out for the big number?
So is it the third act is the big one single stage, and then we have a free
The
ring
third
act?
act is the big one trick. One guy in the center ring, and then you'll have all 3 rings going simultaneously to carry it out for the finale.
Right.
And
okay.
additionally, you will get bonus excitement if the big number is successful based on the level of your trick. Now, you've all been performing for some time. You've been with the circus for a while. But you are first level tricks. You do have 2 second level performers with you, though. You have Tulip and Tickles and Mordrain, who was hired largely for this express purpose.
Right. I'll call up Mordrin and okay. Sit rep. Why do you want to go? Or why should you go?
Why should you? Why should you go? You ask her why should you go?
Yeah. Why
So-
should she go over Mr. Tulip? The snake.
And she looks at you like confused, like she doesn't understand what you're asking her. And with her follows along, of course, Anzu, her halfling manager. And she just motions down to Anzu, who fortunately can look actually level at you, as you're both very small people. And he has a clipboard in his hand and kind of furrows his brow. And Anzu's, even for a halfling, a relatively small guy, dressed much like Bartholomew is, with a vest and a nice shirt, monocle, squinted into one eye. Looks nice. Best as I can tell, lass, that's the whole reason she was hired on. I'm sorry,
Go,
did they give you... You're calling the shots here tonight, then. The professor put
That
you
is
in
correct.
charge.
Yes.
Well, this is the big number, then. Where if our things prepared, our tanks ready, roustabouts prepared to wheel out the tank. Do we need anything?
I would
No,
kneel
sorry.
down behind.
Oh, yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I would kneel down behind someone and Tulip seems rather distressed. Not Russian.
Zerg's rubbing off on you.
It is. Seems rather distressed by the death of Thunder. We may want to consider.
Oh, fuck, that's a good point. Yeah.
And Tulip actually has this entire time, like since Thunder's been found, has been sitting on that crate near the body, just hands on her knees, just staring listlessly down at his covered body. Like, she hasn't moved at all.
Yeah.
You know, they were very close.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Well, we're not, the way I see it, sending you out is a win-win. Either you do great, and it's great for the circus, or you fuck it up, and it's funny for me. Go on, get it.
And
Zerg sort of sidles up, rubbing his shoulders, nice and greasy. Lizard, you want to do this?
I am always ready to fight you.
And Mordrain holds up a hand. No, that's all very well and good. Thank you very much. My things are prepared. Anzu, if you will. And kind of straightens the shoulder strap of her costume and just heads, ignoring you completely, heads towards the curtain.
I look at
Fucking
Zerg.
magicians. They're all the same.
Her smile is very nice for what a horrible person she is.
A warming smile for a frozen heart.
We should fight her, eh, Lizard?
Great job.
I think that's against jurisdiction.
So, Mordrain heads out to take the center stage. Mordrain the Magnificent. Mordrain the Magician. Mordrain, who was hired again for this express purpose,
What a moron.
has her tank wheeled out to the center ring. A few of the roustabouts take her near 7-foot tall glass chamber filled with water on a stand with ornate golden metal workings. It's gold painted, but the audience doesn't know that. Out towards the center ring as she takes the stage, using her beauty to warm them up. Just her simple appearances, with flourishes and a fairly mundane, simple dance, but with her garb all enrapturing the same. And as she prepares, and one of the roustabouts brings up to her a massive set of iron manacles, which she displays to the audience, she is going to make her first trick check. And do. Well, she's here for a reason. With a 21, the beginning of her performance goes fantastically. The energy starts to rejoin the crowd. The excitement almost hushed, quiet, as it kind of falls over them what it is that's about to happen. She climbs up to the top of the tank, puts her hands together in front of her, as she is clasped in these iron manacles before she drops down into the water, and the roustabouts seal the top of the hatch on top of her, seemingly all but ensuring her death. And then she will continue her performance. And she sits at first motionless, waiting in the tank, before almost like miming at the sides of it, as if she was just now realizing her predicament, playing up the fact that her wrists are shackled together. And as she continues, she is going to take a -5 for a total of this. And with a 19 on the die again, she's here for a reason. Mordrain continues to succeed. Her act goes off flawlessly. After this moment of feigned panic, but still very much in control, turning to display her predicament to all sides of the crowd around her. She turns away from them, curling up in a ball, motionless on the ground, before one arm raises up, holding the shackles, no longer attached at her wrists, as she turns and starts to feel towards the ceiling. And at this, the crowd starts to really get into it. They start to erupt. They start to cheer. They start to scream. They start to scream a lot. That is not excited screaming. That is panicked screaming coming from the right stance. Something is horribly wrong. All five of you are... a panic is breaking out in the right stance, clearly invisibly, that you can see from back here, but you can't see the cause. You can't see the source of it.
I rush that way. I try to get around to it without disturbing the show.
Anybody else going to go with him?
Yeah, I'll rush up there. I was actually muted. My bad. Double time. I'll motion for Robus and Lizard to follow. Give Sorg a glance. You want to come?
I'll stay here and see the view.
Good thinking.
All right. Yeah. Good.
So everybody but Zerg rushes up to the stands here, where you can near immediately see the problem. All of the excitement and the cheering and the stomping as everyone has stood up, enraptured by Mordrain's magnificent performance, has attracted some attention from 3 fairly large vipers, snakes that have wound up from below, now irritated, feeling attacked, clearly coiled up in a defensive posture, ready to strike. But there's a pretty thick crowd here as people are trying to shuffle away from it. They can't easily get away from these snakes, and their panic is only angering the snakes further. This is a dangerous situation. So dangerous, in fact, we are going to roll our first initiative. So, with Roll20, I'm pretty sure these new character sheets are largely going to work the same way that they had before. If you select your token, and make sure you have it selected, and then click the initiative button on your character sheet, it will automatically roll initiative and add you to this table on Roll20. And Zerg, you can go ahead and roll it too, even though you're not actively participating right now, in case this,
I can get involved.
goes poorly, and you wish to lend your talents.
Where is initiative?
It's on the bottom right under perception.
Got it.
All right, because it's going to be for everyone here. This would be perception as your initiative. Second edition does not have a separate stat for initiative specifically, but it's almost always going to be perception. There are situations in which it could be something else. Stealth is a very common one if you're trying to sneak up on somebody, but as everyone is seeing the snakes here, actually, Arabis, I know you did roll relatively well. I didn't bring this up at first. Arabis. I see this. What happens when I just say it? When I just say it, I read Arabis because that's what my brain translates. Arabis. if you want, if your nature is higher than your perception, you can keep that same roll. Because of the situation, you're kind of recognizing the danger here. You can absolutely use nature as your initiative check. And in fact, anybody trained in nature who wishes to use that instead could use that instead. So if your nature modifier is higher than perception, you can just change the number in the table to be however much higher it should be. Anyone's welcome to do that.
So
but you
I
have
just
to be
add
trained.
what the difference is between my. Okay. So it'll be.
There are situations where a wide variety of skills could be called for an initiative in different situations, and this is a great example of that.
Should I keep the 12, or can I?
If you're trained in nature and you want to use it,
my first roll was 19, but it didn't go on to do like the.
Oh yeah, well we'll just keep what goes on the board for right now. It's not going to be super mega relevant, fortunately.
That's fine. It works both ways. Sometimes you're a little better in the second round.
All right, and in second edition, because we have a tie here, players do get a lot more control in situations like this. Lizardman and Selwyn have tied at 12. You just choose who wants to go first. That's dealer's choice.
I'd say Lizardman because I tell you to go tackle the snakes.
Kill the snakes!
Aye, boss.
All right, so Erebus.
Not that, boss.
You have one initiative here. This is actual combat. As in, not combat as in like you have to attack and kill them. I mean, it's pretty cool that you won this because you're a druid and you may actually have other solutions to this problem. But it is a combat situation. So we're down to a round is 6 seconds and you have 3 actions.
Okay.
So anything that you would want to do with your turn is generally going to take an action. Everything's been a lot more streamlined. You want to move up to your speed, that's an action. You want to attack, that's an action. You want to take a 5-foot step, that's an action. Basically everything is an action. Most of your class features will tell you exactly how many actions they are. You being a druid with your spell casting, nearly everything is going to take 2 actions as far as spellcasts are concerned.
Yeah.
But at the moment, you can see these snakes about 40, 50 feet away from you in the stands. The crowd parting, largely shielding them with their bodies. What do you want to do?
I'm sorry.
Someone's already rolled melee attacks. He's real excited.
No,
I want to stab him.
Oh, I forgot to set up a sneak attack, so I was trying to do it quietly, but then I clicked the fucking roll.
Yeah,
That also separate rolled the critical.
Right.
But anyway, what do you want to do, Artemis?
I would move up into the crowd, trying to first action. So that's.
So what is your speed?
20 with my armor. Well, I don't have my armor on because I'm going to be performing. So
you can move 25. So you could get as far as that gap in the crowd there. That would get you within 10, 15 feet of these vipers if you want to move up there.
To here, and then I would just start shouting at people to get away from the snakes, to clear out. I mean, is that an action to do that?
Yes, in fact it is. You would be making a diplomacy check because they are pretty panicked right now, and trying to get through to them is going to be somewhat difficult. But that would be one action.
All right, I will diplomate. Oh boy, that's a 6.
So with the he's 6, a 6 is.
Speak snake language.
They see you coming up. I mean, you're all in your kit for your act, so you're playing up the muddy wild woman thing, right?
Yeah.
You're leaning into that real hard. And they don't know what you really are. You look like a dirty orphan climbing up into the stands, and they are in no way going to listen to you over their survival instincts telling them to get the fuck away from these snakes. Now you have 1 action left.
Yeah.
You can attempt again as your last action if you want to.
Okay. For my third action, I want to talk to the snakes instead of the people. And
all right.
I'm going to.
Harry Potter.
I know you're scared and you're probably really upset, but trust me, I will get you outside and no one needs to get hurt. And
do you have the group impression, which is basically the diplomacy version of that feat that Zindern has with Intimidate?
Mine is wild empathy.
Right, but you don't have anything that lets you make this check against multiple snakes simultaneously. They can you can talk to them, but mechanically you can request a snake leave. So
Yeah, I
you
don't.
can. All right, so then that would still be a diplomacy check, but now you're trying to convince the snake directly to go away.
Okay.
Druid
guess it-
powers.
Whatever the first one is, the front one. Better. 13 to the snake.
With a 13, with your wild empathy, you can tell the snakes are in just as much of a panic as the people are. I mean, they're not aggressive. They're not here trying to hurt anybody. They're just very worried for themselves. And as you communicate, as you kind of connect with this foremost viper, it does just slither away, back onto the bleachers, trying to take the clearest path it can back out, or at least back down to safety away from these threats. Ara, that brings us to you.
I greatly miscalculated what I can do in a situation like this. I guess I'm gonna follow suit with Arabis and just try to convince people to calmly make way for the snakes. I'm gonna walk up there with her.
Now, are you trained in nature?
I am trained in nature, yes.
So you can't literally talk to the snakes like Artemis can, but you can still, if just so you're aware of your options. Your nature skill is your ability to work with animals. Sure, you're not a druid, but if you have a decent nature skill and you're trained, you can absolutely still use that to try to handle the vipers directly, not aggressively. You would have to get a little closer. You'd have to take an action and move up into the stands for either of these things you want to do. But
Yeah.
then you could either try to roll diplomacy against the crowd or nature against the snakes.
We'll try nature against the snakes to start with.
All right.
So, well, that's a 23, right?
That's a 23. That's fantastic. So Arbus, you see your little Leshy comrade here come in the stands with you, and he doesn't share your powers, but he seems to have some similar kind of way with animals and nature. As he comes up and assists you here, another one of the vipers simply slithers back down into the stands, shooed away by Ara. That leaves you with one action left.
Can I do the same thing, or do I have to do something
You
different?
sure can.
I'm gonna try.
You can absolutely try to shoot a third viper.
Oh no!
Nah. Let me see the die roll.
Although, with a critical failure, you get one to
is.
go away. The other one's too overwhelmed. It's sensory overload. This thing's losing its mind, and it's mad. It takes what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get through to it, as a threat. And as the crowd starts to move away here, as they start to make a little bit more room, as they start to desperately try to scatter away from these snakes, this one comes right to you. Ara, what is your armor class?
It is 15.
And as it moves towards you, fangs bared, you try your hardest to just show the thing you mean no harm, but it's just overwhelmed. It's the opposite of what this needs right now. And it lashes out at you with its fangs. And it is going to succeed, so it is going to hit you. So as it bites, it's a pretty big viper. This thing's a couple feet long. It's a fairly large creature, all things considered. I mean, it's not like massive. It's nothing like the boa constrictor, but it's like a 2-foot long, decently sized snake lashing up at you. And it's got pretty solid fangs. You're going to take 1 damage, but more pertinently, you're going to feel its poison squirt into you. Now, you're a little wooden leaf leshy thing. Do you have any, like, inherent resistances to poison at all?
Not that I know of, unless plant has something to do with that, but I don't
Yeah,
think.
because
that
you're
trait
still a
doesn't-
living creature. You still
I'm
have,
s-
like, you still
Yeah.
bleed. And
Go on,
you-
I'll look it up.
Oh, quote unquote bleed.
Yeah, so make me a fortitude save.
Fort.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Just
with a-
get him out of the way early.
yeah, with a 7, fortunately that is not going to critically fail, but it is going to fail. And so you are now poisoned by this viper's venom. And it's not so much the fangs that are problematic as it is the particularly potent poison. And as you feel this burning kind of course through you, you can tell these are definitely a lethally venomous snake. You take 4 damage from the poison, so you took a total of 5 damage.
Okay.
And in roll 20, if you can do it in your character sheet, or you can click on your token directly, and it will actually open up a little green bubble right above your token that's constantly tracking your health. So you can also click in that, and then you can just click -5. You don't even have to do the mental math, and it will calculate it for you.
Neat.
But after that, the Viper is actually going to retreat back as its third action, back towards the biggest gap in the crowd it can find and curl up in a very defensive posture, fangs bared, hissing. Lizard Man.
Okay, so how many actions would it take me to get up there?
What is your speed?
It's 25, I think, also.
It would take you 2 stride actions to get up to the Viper, or up to like where you can
Up
talk
to the Viper.
2 stride actions.
Okay, so I stride quickly with purpose, but not actually running, and kind of bark out like kind of a harsh laugh. The Artemis, letting your snakes loose again. It's outrageous. Not Russian. Oh my god, I know why I know Russian. It's because of
She
Zerg,
can't
you're
help but
ruining
mention on
everything.
Zerg's thing. Mono's voice is too sexy. She can't go away from it.
It's a problem. Okay. And so just trying to wave off Artemis and just walk up, and I would go as a sudden charge, walk up to the snake, and go as to like grab it like I would have I seen as I've seen Mr. Tickles like picked up sometimes, just around the throat. And if my claws are a little bit too sharp and accidentally decapitated, that's also okay. So I'm gonna sudden charge up to it.
Yep.
And just grab it like I would picking up a snake.
Hey,
with
you
claws.
lash out with your lizard claws. So
Yeah.
you're gonna make a strike against it. So give me your attack roll.
Okay, so attack roll. Did that? Oh no!
today?
Did that? Natural 1.
I
Oh,
see a
gosh.
natural 1
Wow.
coming out here.
It's a very small, much smaller than I thought this
It is
thing would
much
be.
smaller than Mr. Tickles. Mr. Tickles is a massive boa. This is like a 2-foot viper. And as you sudden charge up towards the thing here, you reach down towards its claws, but you have difficulty pushing through the crowd. And yeah, you do underestimate how tiny it is. And as you get close and lash out, it actually, as a reaction, is going to slither further away from you. Back up into the thick of the crowd, as they're now in a growing panic, trying to flee. They're in like wrecked bleachers here, just away, up and towards the sides. This is becoming a dangerous situation for your patrons that are being shepherded towards the higher end of the bleachers and their panicked escape. You have 1
Okay.
action left, though, thanks to the fact that you can stride twice and strike with your fighter ability for only 2 actions.
Okay. Then I guess I wouldn't really have any of my weapons on me. So I would stride up to it again and just kind of stand there and kind of that barking laugh again, and kind of keep my body just as the most viable target for this snake. And
Stand
just
away
kind
and
of
look mad.
Just kind of laugh out. These guys get loose all the time.
Selwyn.
Right, that snake slithering away is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's getting some
Uh,
distance on you.
I
It's
would
tough
like
here,
to
tiny little gnomish legs.
try to stride up here. Double stride.
Okay.
And would just tell these surrounding people, It's all fine. Just clear away from the snake. We all got this under control. No need to panic. And I'd like to make a deception.
A deception. Okay.
Don't have
Give
it
me a
under control.
deception. Everything is fine. As you see, they see the snake bite Aura, and he kind of doubles over in pain.
Even I don't believe my own bullshit.
With an 8, you are going to critically fail to deceive the crowd,
Oh my god.
who realizes that your insistence that everything is fine is in fact insistence that this is not fine. The level of panic in the crowd increases, as
Oh,
does
fuck.
the screaming, starting to draw some more attention away from Mordrain's act in the center ring.
Well, so am
Zerg.
I guess.
Strong man.
Okay.
You're pretty far away, but you can hear more and more
how-
panic screaming and see your team run up into the stands.
How far? Like, could I get to the act in the center ring in one movement? Do you think? No.
What is your stride speed? Or just your
well, I
speed,
was gonna backflip in, like what do you call it? Cartwheel. Into
Okay.
the arena.
boy.
Would that
Like
make me move
back
any faster?
handsprings?
Could I move any faster that way?
Definitely would not make you any faster. If
Okay, just
anything, the
making sure.
opposite.
Where is my speed? Where's that?
Your speed it's probably 25, but it is going to be listed. I had a hard time finding this earlier. I know it's on here, but I do have to
Oh, 25.
also.
I see it.
25.
25.
There. Oh, yep. But there's below your class DC. Yep. So you can
Okay.
move 25 as one action. So you could get right outside, like 5 feet from the ring as one action. As a second action, you could literally get all the way up to Mordrain's tank
Alright,
if
and-
you
and
so chose.
What's around me? Like, have I got anything? Because I'm still behind the curtain, right? Have I got anything?
Yeah, you're
behind me?
backstage. So you're behind the curtain. You've got a lot of the various supplies and props that people are using. Some of the boxes and things they'd use to move in and out supplies from the previous acts, notably all of the hoops and everything from Aura's act. Bartholomew would have left his wireframe on the ground near here, as well as a bunch of lengths of rope and some daggers and clamps and pythons and similar basic supplies for setup and emergency rigging.
Okay. Anything funnel shaped?
Roll me a d20. We'll give you a 50-50 that there's an immediately at hand funnel available.
How do I just roll a d20?
You can just type into the chat /roll space
Yeah.
d20. They make it
Okay,
real
cool.
straightforward. 14, absolutely. There would be a shaped metal funnel as some of the supplies down near you. That's just
All right.
immediately in grabbing range.
I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to somersault as far as my speed will take me. Into
Right up
the-
next
the
to
center of
Mordrain's
the room.
tank.
Yep. And
And
as
you
loud
would,
as I
you would,
can.
Okay. No, go ahead. I was
As
going to say, that'd
loud-
be 3 actions, but you can continue flavoring, but you can't mechanically do anything. One to pick up
Oh,
the
was that
funnel, and
3
2 to get
actions?
out here. Yeah,
Okay,
pick
so
it
I'm
up.
on my third action now.
Well, that would be, it takes you 2 move actions to get here. 1 action to
Oh.
grab a funnel off of the ground, 2 to get here. Then you can set the stage for whatever you want to do with your next round, because of course they are like, this is all one consecutive thing. These are all happening simultaneously. But that's as much as you can do during what's happening
Can I
in the
just do
stands right
one
now.
action's worth of movement?
Oh, sure. You can absolutely do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be towards the ring here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. And I'm going to use this funnel and yell into it as loud as possible. Never fear! Zerg the Monster Man is here! It's part of the show, you know? It's part
Right?
of the show.
Okay. So, I will let you, if you want to use your third action here with that shout, to try to either aid Mordrain's check, which has to use the same check as her, which is a fortitude save, which is probably pretty all right for you, or as just a diplomacy to distract the crowd away from this growing panic in the right. Dealer's choice. You can roll either.
What would the fortitude check help with?
The fortitude save is to aid Mordrain's show directly, as to try to play her up, whereas the diplomacy is to downplay the panic happening on the other side.
I'm going to distract. I'm going to use the fortitude save, and I'm going to just try and get the eyes off of the snakes and back to the center ring. This is where
All right.
all the action's happening. So do I just click the blue fortitude thing?
Sure do. With a 10.
Such a good idea.
It is. It is. I mean, that's not going to critically fail. That's just not going to succeed. So it isn't enough to really make a meaningful impact to draw away from what's going on here. Now, make no mistake, most of the crowd here hasn't noticed what's going on here. They're enraptured by Mordrain's performance. It's starting to bleed out into the next set of bleachers, that diagonal one, top right. But the vast majority of the crowd is still looking down towards Mordrain and now Zerg as he rushes out to assist.
Has Mordrain noticed what's going on yet?
She does not appear to have no. She's also very absorbed in herself.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've just annoyed Mordrain then. Cool.
Rep gained with Selwyn. Anyway, Aravis, this brings us back around to you.
All right. With my first action, I am going to move a little bit closer to up the bleachers right in front of Selwyn here.
Okay.
Basically ignoring everything around me and only looking at the snake. And I'm going to say to him again as I get close, I am the Stormborn, the Valatu. I will get you to safety. Trust in me. And just diplomat it again.
All right, give me a wild empathy diplomacy check here against this snake. Calm him with the storm. I dig it.
18.
And with an 18, it's pretty high up the stands here, so it's difficult for him to go anywhere, to run away. But still, it seems to understand. It seems to trust you to an extent, even though it's at this point like maybe 8-10 feet off the ground just from how high up in the stands it is. It darts underneath the seats, draping itself down, hanging, using its lower half to get as low to the ground as it can before it just drops itself the 5 or 6 feet down back to the darkness underneath, just away, just making distance, trying to follow your advice. At this, the crowd has no fucking idea why that worked or what is going on. But the snakes are all gone. Clearly the threat to them is also gone. And they're pretty confident that this is just part of the show. They don't really understand it, but they seem to be excited about it. And you're actually now here generating additional excitement for the show with your success. So that does leave you with one action left if you want to do anything.
I would continue to ignore everybody around me and use my last action as movement to try to get off the bleachers and maybe get under to fulfill my promise to help lead them outside.
Okay, so you just start making your way out. You can get one more stride back down towards the bottom. And Ara, as you've got this poison still burning through your veins, you are in danger right now. The snakes are gone. The poison isn't.
Correct.
Are you trained in medicine?
Absolutely not.
Then there is not much you can do in this situation unless you have something that helps you deal with the poison.
All I have is a spell that heals. That's it. No way to deal with the poison.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have a spell that heals, so I mean, you could heal yourself, but that's really all you can contribute at the moment.
Yep.
So what do you want to do?
Well, ignoring the fact that I am poisoned, I look around the crowd real quick. Is there anyone who seemed to have gotten themselves hurt in any way?
No, it
during
doesn't
the
look like
stampede?
the snakes had done anything, and the crowd had not gone into so much of a panic that it was just like a full-blown riot that people were getting knocked over or trampled. You managed to stop it before it got that far. And in fact, everyone is now just cheering and clapping in a sort of confused but very much excited manner.
Then I just kind of want to make my way backstage while playing it off, and I've noticed that they think it was part of the act, so I kind of want to play it off as it was part of the act as I'm walking backstage to seek immediate medical attention.
All right. So Ara starts making his way back, and then go ahead and make me another fortitude save as you head
What a
towards
showman.
the curtain. What a legend.
Oh,
12 is going to fail. as you're going to take an additional 7 poison damage as the poison advances. So in 2nd edition, poisons and diseases become more severe as you continue to fail your save, and you are dying. You are actually dying. You are near death here. Immediate medical attention is very much correct. You're stumbling. Yeah, you try to play it off, but as you reach the curtain, it's obvious to everyone here that you are on death's door. Lizard
I'm
man.
okay. I feel great. Never
He's
better.
trying. Boy, he's trying. Give him credit. Are you muted? Are you thinking?
What?
Oh, it's your turn.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. So can I see on Selwyn, can I see a medicine kit?
Selwyn, do you have a medicine kit on you right now?
I probably wouldn't have one on me at this very moment.
Yeah, I don't
no.
think I have mine on me. Like, I don't think
I don't think it would make
right
sense for me
now.
right after performing, right? Like,
Yeah, or right before performing. Like, that seems a bit ish.
yeah.
Okay, so if I can just barely get to the Leshy, right? I can just barely get to Ara.
Do you have 25-foot movement speed?
25, yeah.
Yeah, you can make your way down there. You can get to like here. And you can run after him because you're a lot higher up in the stands than he was, and he's trying to get backstage as fast as possible. He doesn't want to literally die in the middle of the circus ring.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll start. I start heading that way, and I see Zerg out there, being a boss and everything. And as I walk down, I'll also flex. Zerg, I have it out for you later. And as I walk out, just kind of pump the rest of the show as we go. The show must go on. So I'm going to try and march quickly after this little leafy plant that's wobbling precariously.
All right, Selwyn.
Right. I'd like to acrobatically leap through the bleachers down to Yolden. Erebus.
Okay.
And do a little flourish as I land. Kind of a superhero landing. Still showing off even in dire straits. And go, Erebus, we need to go. Snakes can wait. We have a withering houseplant, and I don't know how to fix it.
Water and plenty of sunlight.
And I'll start running towards the other as far as I can.
All right, so I'll give you one action with that
One
acrobatic check to get down there, so you get, what, 40 feet?
I get 50. I actually have 25 foot speed.
Oh, right. Stuff's actually not super slow in 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Everyone largely got the same moves. There's actually just dwarves that have lower movement speed. So, Zerg, as you approach the ring here and you yell out, Mordrain doesn't notice anything that's going on. Mordrain's completely absorbed. Some of the roustabouts around that are helping rig her show and everything and run these props have turned around confused, looking at each other, not really sure what the fuck is going on. And you also, at the corner right behind you, see Ara clearly wilting, draining of color, rushing towards the curtain. You have probably no real idea what's happened to him.
At this point, I realize. Do I realize that the snakes are gone? Can I see that is sorted and everyone's
Yes, you can
backing
see
off
the
now?
panic has been solved. The crowd is very clearly gone from screaming and panicking to cheering again.
Okay, cool. Well, if what's her face hasn't noticed me yet, I'm just gonna slink back to where Ara is if I can, and just get there. Basically, hoping that no one's noticed.
You can certainly get there as 2 actions.
That's fine.
Now, are you trained in medicine?
I am.
All right.
Both the strongmen, medicine geniuses over here.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. You guys are probably the most prone to possibly
I
being
guess that's
injured
true,
based on
yeah.
what you're doing. So I reasonable to me. So here's the thing. You probably don't have healer's tools on you right now. However,
I've
you
got
are
teeth.
got teeth.
Just
So
suck the
you
poison
know,
out.
you can see he's poison. I'll definitely let you do that. I'm just gonna lay the tenets. You can definitely try. You can see he's poison and something is very wrong. But without proper healer's tools, like all memes and strongman aside, you know you can't super effectively treat him, but you know you can try. I'll let you try it as with your last action without healer's tools, and you'll give him a bonus to his saving throw. But you're both going to have a penalty to the check, a -4. That's going to be big for not having any tools. And if you critically fail, you are also going to be poisoned.
I'm gonna suck the poison out.
All right.
Man, no. Love it.
Zerg's going for it. Give me a medicine check.
Hey, I promised I wouldn't eat salad anymore, but this one is so well seasoned.
Yes.
Come here, little plant.
I'm scared.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Oh.
That is not good. That's not.
Oh
That
my
is,
goodness.
So you try, knowing it's a long shot, and with a natural 1, you definitely get some poison. You can feel the burning in your mouth, and you try not to swallow, but it's almost a gag reflex that kind of spreads it. And with this poison, your body's reflexes, by working against themselves here, make me a fortitude save, Zerg.
This is not protein shake.
There you go.
You're the
Good
most-
news!
Oh, okay.
19.
27 total. 19 on the die, 27. I mean, you just spit it out. You're not poisoned. But
Disgusting.
neither is Ara unpoisoned.
Plant juice is gross.
Tastes
Aramis.
slightly like maple syrup.
I will almost kind of reluctantly listen to what Selwyn said and move as quickly as I can. 25 feet. 1, 2, 3.
With 3 actions, you can get 2 Ara, but it's going to take your whole turn.
Well, if I could get within 30 of him, I could hit him.
You
with
can
a
do that by getting up to Lizard Man and Selwyn.
That's within 30?
Yep.
And that's
The scale, because I had to scale the map down to such tiny squares, Roll20 doesn't normally look like this because of how huge the map is. My option was to blow up the map so it was just pixels or downscale it a lot. But you are within 30 there.
Yeah, that's the problem with doing the maps.
so I still have 2 because I need 2 actions to do it.
That is... Oh, you need 2 actions to do it?
Yeah, because
You
it's
were here.
for a range of 30 feet.
Yeah,
it's
you
2
can't get
actions.
within 30 as a single action, unfortunately.
Everything is fine. Everything.
Boy.
You can start readying some magic, but you won't be able to cast it until next turn.
And he's not like dying yet. Like I
No.
just tell he's in bad shape.
He's not unconscious yet.
Yet.
Okay, so then I will just use everything I have to get right next to him. And as I do, I'll tell Selwyn get my healer's tools in the back.
Ara, is your turn.
Well, seeing how I am now the center of attention, that makes me extremely happy. I'm gonna actually use heal on myself at the 2nd level to heal myself for 1d8 plus 8. So,
Okay, so you're gonna perform a 2-action heal.
Yes.
All right.
And just clear myself. So how do I roll? Just a d8?
So anything you want to roll in Roll20 that you don't have access to easily through your character sheet, you can do /roll space, and then you just type exactly what you want to roll. So if you want to roll a d8 plus 8, you do /roll space d8 plus 8. Just they are pretty straightforward with the commands and rolling usually. So you're gonna heal yourself for 12.
Nice.
So, which puts me back at max.
This is the level
good.
1st encounter that's ever happened.
It's the best.
It's me. I never have good
So that
luck on
actually
first
brings you back
hits.
up exactly perfectly to full health, doesn't it?
As planned.
Calculated.
Calculated. Keikaku.
So that leaves you with 1 action left.
I still want to get behind the curtains. No, everyone's rushing to me, but I don't want to sit here anymore. So,
So with your 25 feet of movement, you can get out and around, and basically just duck right back behind the corner of the curtain, out of sight.
Yeah,
That's exactly
wanna
enough
die
to
in-
get there.
I don't want to die in front of the crowd. That'd be kind of disturbing.
All right, make me a fortitude save. Come on, buddy.
Here's where I shine, folks.
Oh, nice.
That's what we're looking for. 16 on the die. What do we got?
It's a 21 total.
So with a 21, fortunately, with your magic, you're able to survive this, and you feel that the poison has run the worst of its course. You're still sore, you're still tired, and you still feel this tingling through your veins. It's painful, it hurts. But you no longer feel like the poison is going to deal any more damage to you. So with that, everybody else rushes back behind the curtain. Or if this, I'm not gonna make you do things. Is that what everyone else is doing? I'm just assuming that everyone else is gonna dart back behind the curtain.
Yeah. I'll dart back, and the first thing I'll do is like scream, "Where the fuck did the snakes come from?"
Over on the other side of the backstage, it's actually opposite of where the stands are. It's on the far west side of your setup is Tulip. And Tulip's over there with Mr. Tickles, who is in his cage. And she's finally gone over to set up with Mr. Tickles in his cage, checking in case you need him for the finale. And as you come back here and yell this, she sort of slowly turns, and you can see even from this distance that her makeup's a little fucked up around the eyes, but looks back towards the cage where her snake is clearly just sitting. You would know, you've been with the circus, none of your other performers use snakes. Nobody uses like small vipers. The only snake you have is Mr. Tickles. He's fucking huge. He's also not venomous.
I like him a lot more.
But nobody immediately answers your question. You get a couple confused looks from roustabouts and performers nearby, but
I wasn't asking anyone in particular.
yeah, but I
was
mean, like
thinking
nobody,
just-
everyone just kind of
yeah.
looks at each other, looks at you. They're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah. After that explanation, I will run over to Tulip. Not run. Brisk pace.
Confidently stride over to Tulip.
Yes. I know you and Thunder were very close, so if you don't want to perform tonight, I fully understand, and you won't have to.
Well, hon, I got a different problem. Something's wrong with Mr. Tickles. And she points down to the snake, who is just kind of laying there. He doesn't look any terribly different than usual to you. He's just laying at the bottom of the cage like he always does. But you do see that he has a nugget of rabbit meat, the haunch torn off, laying in front of him. That's been placed just like inches from his snoot. He doesn't appear to be interested in it all, but he's just chilling. Are you trained in nature?
I am not, but I take one look at the snake and sprint over to Arabis. This time I'm sprinting. Arabis, sorry.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Say my
Arabis.
name. Say my name. Put a bis at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Say that.
Oh, actually, no, I know exactly what
smart.
because I was gonna call you Gray anyway. So, Gray, something's wrong with the snake. Can you take a look?
I'm busy with Ara here at the moment. I mean, are you
Look,
okay now, or?
Go check on the snake. I'm good.
But I got the other snakes that I have to lead to freedom. I mean,
Look, the snakes are probably gone already. It's fine. Okay, I promise you they're safe. Probably.
okay.
Please take a look at the more important snake, the bigger snake. In the bigger picture, the bigger snake is more important, right?
What's
Snake
wrong
equals
with
3 snakes.
What's wrong with Tickles?
I don't know. That is why I want you to check on him.
Okay.
So,
I'll leave
Selwyn
her by the
and
hand.
Arabis head over to Tulip and Tickles. Anybody else going with them? All right, now you're kind of sitting there getting over your things, and Zerg and Lizardman right now, you're still with Ara.
They'll say if it's this is all happening in the daytime, right? It's all daytime.
It's
circus.
late afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna just mosey outside near the entryway, so I'm outside, not inside. Some water and sunlight's all I need.
And you do have a stream that runs actually right behind the tent, because it's kind of impossible to supply enough water for, well, everyone's needs, much less Mordrain's giant fucking dunk tank without something nearby. So there's a stream literally 25 feet, 30 feet out behind that. Most of your wagons are kind of parked around. So you can head back out to that. How about you, Zerg and Lizardman?
I don't know
Uh,
anything about
little-
snakes.
Little plant couldn't even handle a small bite, huh?
Yeah. It's got
What
a
a
very
weak
small
boy.
bloodstream.
Very weak boy. How you feel? You feel strong?
I'm strong, stronger than you.
Yes, we will see. We will see, little lizard. We will see. I feel good. I feel oily. I feel greasy. I don't know what happened
Shiny.
with the. I'm so beautiful right now. It's great.
So on the
Eh.
other side of the ring, you guys get to Mr. Tickles, and then Arabis, go ahead and make me a nature check as you look down at him.
Okay.
And Tulip, as you're looking, she knows you obviously, because I don't know what's happened. He won't
14.
eat nothing. He won't drink. He's barely moving. On the 14, you can look down at the snake, and I mean you can tell it is ill. It's sick with something, but you're not exactly a snake expert, and you're not sure what. But like Tulip said, he's incredibly lethargic. He's breathing very slowly and shallowly, and you know that a lot of his training is done by he gets fed after shows, so he should be hungry right now. And this haunch of rabbit meat in front of him should be the most appealing thing in the universe, but he has absolutely no interest in it. He seems pretty sick.
How long has he been like this?
I don't know, love. It just happened. I just noticed it not too long ago. I came back over here just a couple minutes ago, in case y'all needed me for the finale to take up one of the rings. But that's how I found him. I was with him right before,
Has he
all
eaten
that
anything
that
since?
mess with Myron. No, he ain't ate or drink nothing.
Not at all.
He hadn't
today.
even moved.
Can you
Ah.
speak to the snake?
Second snake problem.
I'm asking
getting tired of these snakes in the circus.
Erebus.
I'm just gonna kind of give you a shitty look and kneel down real slow and try to put my hands on the snake. To, like, pet him and let him know I'm
Yeah,
cool.
he's not gonna react. He's just gonna lay there and let you touch him.
And what ails you, my friend? If I can get any kind of response or maybe a head nod, some kind of communication.
So, in second edition, by default, wild empathy is not the ability to talk
Yeah.
to animals so much as it is to like you can get basic impressions of them, you can request them to do things, and he's also only so intelligent of a creature. He's not going to be able to impart to you any more than that he is sick and he feels very tired and he does not want to move.
I'm gonna speak for the healer's kit.
Do we have a snake killer kit?
Now we have a medicine kit.
So while Arabis is kneeling down with Mr. Tickles and trying to figure out what's going on here, and Selwyn's running to grab the healing kit, Odely Kambali, the youngest daughter of the Featherfall Five, comes up to Zerg and Lizard Man, completely unafraid. She's only 9 years old. She performs in their tightrope act with them. Theirs is a good deal higher than Ara's, and with nets, because the parents do not want their kids to die in a circus freak accident. There seems to be a lot of that going around today. But she approaches and looks up to the two of you. Mom says you're running the circus today. We got a problem. Something's wrong with our nets, and she says you need to come look.
Yes, small child, I help. Lizard, do come.
Go.
So she leads you over to the rest of her family, where they are similarly performing, in case they need to go on for the finale, because they know almost half the tricks of the show happened the last act here. And they were just routine, double checking their nets and their equipment just to make sure everything's okay. And as you come over, the father motions you both a bit closer. Hey, he looks at the lizard man and shifts his vision to Zerg. Zerg, you've got a bit of a problem. And motions down to a crate where he reaches and pulls up some of their safety nets with tears all through them. The nets have been ruined.
You did not bring extra net?
We didn't have room. We use all the supplies we got. We don't have a whole lot of backups. You can make me either of you can make me perception or nature checks here to inspect these nets briefly. You don't have to be trained. You can do it even if you're untrained. But you get one of those two rolls.
Perception.
What do we
20
got?
for me.
20
20?
and a 15.
20 and a 15. Both of you looking through this can tell that these have been chewed apart. These haven't been cut cleanly, like with a knife or a blade. Something has chewed through these nets, but it's done it in an oddly systematic way. It didn't just chew like a section or a hole, like maybe a rat had gotten into it. They chewed down a line near the whole length of the thing, as if intentionally, to make them completely unusable.
Did you get hungry, lizard? What happened?
I can't even think of what would have made this. I only eat meat.
Good point. Okay, I have idea. Good fix, quick fix. We're the best. We're the strongest. I the stronger, but we're the strongest. You do trick. We catch if you fall. Easy. Done. Next question.
All right. That is a terrifying prospect to them for a variety of reasons. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be an intimidator or diplomacy. However you want to present it. If you want to present it as a polite request, like it's fine, nothing is problem. Like if that's how you're really going, but if you're like, we need you to do this,
It's more like
it'll
a
be
calm.
fine.
Like it's not a problem.
All right.
We're like, I trust my ability. I trust Lizard's ability.
So give me a diplomacy check.
Well, remember how oily he is.
Oh God.
No oil on his hands.
Not the hands.
Not the hands.
Okay.
The hands are dry. What is problem?
Oh,
It's not the
yes.
problem.
Oh, you love to see it.
That is 18.
With an 18, the parents look to each other. The older daughters seem to be a bit concerned. The younger daughter is absolutely unfazed by whatever is going on. She's not bothered at all. But the mother nods. Well, if we do have to go on, all right. If you need us, we'll perform if we need to.
I will mention this to Selwyn and state your preference.
So, you two head over to Selwyn and Arbus, where the medicine kit has arrived, and what are you trying to do? Because the snake's not visibly injured, he's sick, and you don't know exactly what you're treating, and it's on an animal, so it's not going to be particularly easy without knowing,
I'm not trying to do
What he's
anything. I want to
sick
hand this to the druid lady. I don't know how
well, the
to fix
druid's not
it.
sure what he's sick with either, just that he is
Well,
sick.
he's more sure than me. I hope.
I mean, does a proper examination help me determine? I mean, I have.
Well, that was you can take a medicine check to try to examine her with your knowledge and see if you can suss out exactly what's going on.
I will do so. As I find said, there it is. 17.
With a 17 and some tools here, you would be able to suss out that this snake appears to have contracted goblin pox. Now, goblin pox isn't lethal, but it's also pretty much exclusively transmitted by goblins and goblinoid creatures. You don't have any goblins in your circus, and nobody has any goblin dogs or bugbears or anything around. In fact, they're not really even native to the Isle of Arran at all, at least not the eastern side. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's not a lethal disease. Like, this isn't going to kill Mr. Tickles. He'll recover.
Okay, now that I know, I've diagnosed tickles. How do I know how to treat tickles? Now that I
With
know-
your kit, you can, if you're trained in medicine.
I am.
Okay, because treating it's going to require you to be trained. Then yes, you can attempt a second medicine check to try to treat the sickness.
I have my healer's tools. Does the +1 apply to treating as well?
For
'cause
healer's tools?
Yeah. That's what,
Do they
I mean,
give you a +1?
It says
I don't know
it
if they give
does.
you a bonus in second edition. Oh, they do actually. Yeah.
Depends
Okay.
who-
Yeah. Then you do get the +1. Yes.
Sweet.
Oh, that's
All right.
expanded healer's tools. No, you have regular healer's tools.
I do. Yeah.
You can
regular.
get fancy, more elaborate healer's tools to give you a +1. Oh, it's so much easier to be able to Google things quickly. That's the downside of the table shows. I don't have Google. So yeah, it's just your medicine. It's just flat medicine check.
Okay. 14 to treat.
With a 14, you do your best, but there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, this medicine is geared to treating people, and even still, these are sort of baseline symptoms the snake is experiencing. There's little you can do to relieve them without like actual medicine that you don't really have at hand. You can't really make this a whole lot better. But again, the snake isn't gonna die. And are you sharing this knowledge you have while you're treating?
Oh, thank the stars.
Apparently he's contracted goblin pox. Any idea how that could happen?
The what now?
Tulip raises an
Seem to
eyebrow and
have-
just shrugs. I got no
They
idea,
have
love.
some errant creature running around here. There seems someone has been messing with the nets.
Really?
Oh, great. How did they get in here? How has no one seen them? And why are the
And
goblins?
there are like 24 workers backstage here. There are a ton of people. Like there are eyes everywhere.
I
Well,
can
then-
try and look at the snake later. I have some experience with goblin, not dragon pox.
Well, you said it wasn't lethal, right, Gray?
Yeah, he'll be fine. Just try to keep him comfortable as it passes.
Well, that'll be fine
And,
then. Okay.
Tulip nods.
He can't
Oh,
perform
well.
tonight, though. I can't medically clear him.
Gods above be blessed. There's nothing that's gonna take him from me. But if he's just feeling sick, if you need, I can still take him on, love. He don't have to contribute too much to the show. It's most on my part.
No,
It should be fine. I have some ideas.
Bless your heart, then, little lass. I appreciate it.
Keep
This
the
is,
snake safe.
Of
I need
course.
to check on Masako now, because now I'm pretty concerned.
Look, there are 2 snakes in this circus and one I treasure deeply.
So you head over to Masako's cage at the center of backstage to check on your wolf, and
Yes.
nothing appears to be out of the ordinary with him. He looks like he's perfectly fine. He doesn't look like he's fallen ill. He doesn't look like he's injured. He's in great spirits. But around this time, to the cheering throng of the crowd, Mordrain parts the curtains with a flourish, looks back towards the audience, and steps through, dropping them behind her. Anzu, who's been waiting back near the curtains the entire time for him to arrive, immediately exchanges some quick words with her, where she just smiles, nods, and continues backstage, their arms spread wide. And that, everyone, is how shows are done. You're welcome.
I forgot she was performing.
By all the gods, real or imaginary, someone give me the strength not to stab her. And I'm also gonna
Fucking
crumple
just-
up a paper I've been writing on.
A paper you've been writing on?
Yeah, while there's been downtime. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if it comes up, that's what's on it. I just toss it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So it is absolutely certain that Mordrain has put on a successful big number. Your feelings about her notwithstanding.
Yep, that's why it's
Thunder.
crumpled.
Thunder wasn't wrong. She knocked it out of the goddamn park. And not only did she generate a huge amount of excitement with her level 2 trick and 2 consecutive successes,
Oh boy.
additional success for the variance of her trick and the different facets necessary to perform it, she also got you even more for doing so well with the big number. But let's not diminish your own contributions here. You're handling the snakes has riled the crowds up as well. So before we head into the finale, let's look at where we are. You came into this show with a lot of anticipation. 15 that Thunder and the Professor have been building up for you. Your first act, your opener, Selwyn, went pretty great. You succeeded twice, and you generated 2 excitement. The build-up happened. Fortunately, Axel did great on the first performance, but then failed on the second, to add a total of 1 excitement to the show. But also, with the level of his success, he raised your anticipation, the anticipation of the crowd, even further to 16. Now, in the distance, unfortunately, not all was well for poor little Ara, who tried his best, but it just didn't really work out. He critically failed his first check, and then failed at his second, but the clowns helped him redeem it to a success, to a net 0. He basically added nothing. He kept you even. Your big number, however, oh baby, did your big number go off. With a success and a second success, Moradrain generated 4 excitement. A successful axe brought it up to 6 excitement. The variance of her trick, the thievery and the fortitude save involved gave her 7 excitement generated total. But you did help out. You got 1 more for your handling of the snakes to give you 8. So right now you are at 13 excitement and 16 anticipation going into the finale. You can blow your audience away. You can blow their minds. You can exceed the anticipation with this finale, with these 3 acts, and you can put on a successful show. But you can, being Pathfinder 2nd Edition, put on a critically successful show. And that doesn't work the same way as it does for most things. That's not by beating your anticipation by 10. That's by hitting the exact lethal. If in your finale, in your 3 acts, you generate exactly 3 excitement, and you end with 16 anticipation, 16 excitement, your opening night is a critical success. So, it is time for the finale. It's time to bring it all home. Who's on? You have 3 acts happening simultaneously.
Well, I will suggest Gray goes on. Obviously, the 2 muscle brothers essentially should go on, and let's avoid the risk of the nets and catching. Let's keep that out entirely and put on the Dwarven brothers. If you guys feel you're overhyping the crowd, feel free to either just roll or fuck it up to bring it down a little bit.
If you critically succeed, the anticipation does go up a little further. So at this point, you're in a weird area where you don't want to critically succeed. Everyone just wants the regular succeed. You want to do a good show.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird because like you kind of also want to fuck it up if you exceed, right? So you can bring it down a bit.
Well, if all 3 of your actors go in and succeed once, that's exactly where you got it.
Right.
I mean, Lizardman and Zerg have the fortunate position to be able to control the narrative of our fight. So a failure and a success we can kind of play with anyway.
Now, as a warning, a successful finale will gain you bonus excitement if any of your performers have the team or the audience trait. So if you send out either the throwers or the strongmen, you'll get bonus excitement if the act is a success. It's
Then
a
we can
tough
have the
call.
Then we can have the other coast.
That's a good call. If you have one person coast,
That's actually true. If you have 2 successes and 1 failure, then you hit you hit it exact lethal.
Yeah. Set them up.
Insurance.
Yep.
All right, so is that the plan then?
Yes.
Let's go.
Alrighty.
and also
go
be
we
about to have
shall.
every PC go in.
With Zerg and the Lizard Man taking 1 ring, Arabis and her wolf heading into another, and the 4 dwarven throwers forming together for their act in the far ring. And the finale is going to be a sight to behold, with everyone all performing simultaneously. Who wants to go first?
Zerg and Lizardman can take the start.
All right,
course.
as your performance begins, what
Rules
happens?
question.
Oh,
if I may.
Sure.
Do we know how much excitement it generates if the team success is successful?
Yes,
And does it apply
rules
to multiple
question,
people?
you know the targets you're looking at. All three of these acts are level 1 acts.
Right.
And you generate extra excitement equal to half of a trick's level rounded up, so it's going to be 1. So
Right.
if your act is a success, they'll generate 1 for every time they successfully perform. And if your act is a success, you get 1 bonus, and they'll generate 1 every time they successfully perform. So if 2 of these 3 acts succeed and 1 fails, you get exact lethal. Because a failure is not, again, it's just a mediocre.
So team just applies to the overall, right? If
Team is to any act that includes more than 1 person.
okay,
so,
yeah. I'm just wondering if like the 2 teams are both successful, is that a total of 4 examples?
Oh no, you pick one of them, but they're both
Okay.
level 1, so choosing doesn't matter. Right, good question.
Right.
though.
Okay.
Yeah, you
that's
don't
what I
get
was
the bonus excitement for both of your team acts.
Right.
All right,
yeah.
so Zerg or Lizardman, who wants to make the roll? Because we'll let the
Lizardman's got to break out of the cage, right? That's the whole deal.
that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
start. Alrighty, so Lizardman, make the start roll, and then tell us what happens based on how well it comes out. Let the dice
Okay.
tell a bit of our
Let's see
story.
here. So you'd like me to make an athletics check for that?
Did you want to do athletics? I thought you wanted to do your actual strike.
Okay. I didn't know if I could still do that just for the breaking out. I didn't know if I had to do that later in the
You
act.
actually only get 1 trick check at the moment, so you're making the same check for all of your act, regardless of what it is you're exactly doing at the moment. So all your trick checks are going to be strikes.
Cool. That is a 20.
Oh yeah.
26 success. What happens?
So, Zerg, do you want to take this off as you can hear a rattling noise coming from as claws go tink, 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 tink along the bars of the cage?
Behold, Zerg the mighty monster man and the lizard man, caged, fearful. He's dangerous, most dangerous creature in all the land. 1 bite from this thing, and it is all over for Zerg. Luckily, I built strong cage to keep it in check,
And this throaty, deep laugh comes out from the cage as the tick, tick, tick of the claws stops. And you see these 2 claws come out to the front of the cage and just start pulling apart. And the bars just creak ever like loud, like a really loud kind of bending of the metal. And then a lizard snakes its way out.
Zerg is still looking at the crowd. Yes, behold, the creature I have captured is strong, is caged. I am very brave.
And the crowd starts shouting at Zerg, like, look behind you, and they kind of start as I start creeping up slowly out behind him before letting out like a big roar as I come out kind of right behind him.
Caged, not very strong.
So, we'll continue that in a moment. Arabus, you
Okay.
want to make me your check to see how your performance begins.
Okay, so I am like covered in mud and hair's all disheveled and braided in places. There's twigs. I'm wearing a crown of like dark wood and stuff. Completely barefoot in a tattered like dress, you think maybe? And I'll just come kind of walking out into the center. And well, man, I should roll the check first.
Yeah, roll the check before you get too involved here. And you roll on that one and you make yourself sad.
Yeah.
At least you can play into the bad if you roll bad.
I've written down here for the animal traits it's +2.
That was if you had backup. Yeah, if you had a non-performer that was
That's
doing that
what it
roll.
is, okay.
You do have a +1 though, because
Yeah.
your trick has the animal trait, which gives you a +1 to using nature as your check.
Right. Okay. So in nature.
So it'll be
plus-
1 higher than what you roll.
That is a 21 total then.
21's definitely successful. So carry on, good sir.
Okay. So I come out and I start to interpretively dance and do like movements that resemble certain animals, like slithering like a snake or getting on fours and moving like a wolf. And all this is happening as simultaneously as they're doing their thing. And as I do more and more different animals and poses, and a wolf appears behind where I came in, menacingly creeping into the arena and darts towards me and almost like he's going to attack. And I turn around just in time and see him. He freezes and we both make eye contact, and the dance evolves into now he's dancing with me. We're moving like in synchronicity at the same time, and just it keeps evolving more and more in different stances and stuff.
And you have this supposed beast out here,
Yeah.
not just existing, but dancing with you, enthralling the crowd with your success. So, that leaves us to the Dwarven Throwers, who will try their act as well. And the Dwarven Throwers have a very, very simple performance. Admittedly, it's what it says on the box, really. That's basically all there is to it. The 3 of them join together as one of them raises his little arms up, tottering around, hyping the crowd up a bit. The 3 of them get together, one on the bottom, laying on his back with his feet up and his arms on his knees. The other 2 on the sides with their hands down, forming as they call the human ballista, as the 4th one gets in, ready to be flung. And I will let you dealer's choice here because you are running the circus. He has a +10 check and a +7 check. If he fucks this up, you actually have exact lethal. So
Right, yeah, I choose the
Maybe
low,
the
obviously.
+7.
so
Yeah.
you want him to use the worst of his 2 checks here
Yes.
and hope for a low but not abysmally low roll.
I mean, even if he fucks up, we can send him to the clowns.
That's true. You can send it to class. You're pretty much set. Oh yeah, you're pretty set. You're sitting pretty right now, as long as it doesn't succeed. Never have you rooted so hard for your own team's failure since Mordrain took the stage. The Dwarven Throwers failed their act with a 13.
Yes.
It is spectacularly as mediocre as you would expect 3 dwarves just kind of throwing a 4th dwarf across the room to be. At the moment, you are sitting, once you get the bonus for this act being a success, at exactly 16 excitement and 16 anticipation. The critical success of the show is in sight. Selwyn, Ara, you're waiting backstage.
I'll scream for him to coast. Coast!
Just screaming coast in the curtains.
I would know it, right? Like, it was something my
Yeah.
character would know.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
you're aware that you
Okay, yeah.
you don't want
Yeah,
you
well,
never
like,
want to
right,
go
right,
too hard on the show because the
Yeah.
idea is you want him to have something to come back for. You're a traveling circus. You're gonna have successive performances. You got to leave the sum to be desired, and sometimes that includes the obvious sandbag near the end after they've already had a spectacular performance. There's more if you return to the Circus of Fairwood Wonders, etc., etc. So you just start yelling and screaming to sandbag up behind the curtains. You and Ara. Make me perception checks.
Oh, no.
Perfect. Perceive. Perfect.
D6 should probably not be coming out with your perception, but we'll figure that out later.
What the hell is that fucking macro? Holy
That did something fucky, but we'll figure that out at a later occasion. So, what do we got?
I got an 11.
I got an 18.
So Ara is just kind of enraptured by his own show, by your own show that's being put on here, and sort of exhausted by the poison. It's just kind of content to sit and watch, predict the money that is going to be rolling in now as this show barrels towards a riotous opening night. But Selwyn, you notice it may actually be 2 rioters. Back here in the far corner, in the back right, where you would... The panic had nearly spread before. You see another pair of drunken spectators. Now, this is not out of the ordinary. Drunken spectators are perfectly common. In fact, that's probably at least half of your audience here. It's a small town. They don't have a whole lot to do. But these two seem to be getting a little irate, as if they can tell that sandbagging is coming, and perhaps they feel like they've been cheated out of their coin if you aren't going to give it your all the entire show. And they're starting to boo and jeer towards the ring. Nobody else really is, just them. Again, this is kind of irritating to a couple next to them who turns around and shuts them and asks them to be quiet. But these two particular drunks here, they look a little bit more enthusiastic than the previous group. And you can tell this has got seconds before it comes to blows.
Right. I'll grab my short swords, just in case. Real fast. I'll have them laying about. Say, Tulip, Aura, with me. Quickly.
You want to bring Tulip?
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
She's actually a fighter.
Yeah, like Tulip will come. She's not sure what's going on, but she'll certainly come with you.
Yes.
And the group of you, head up around the stands here, near the base of the stands, to get towards the crowd. These 2 mischief makers. And what are you doing, Selwyn?
I'll walk up to them and see. You seem to be making this show a lot worse for everyone else. Can I ask for the reason and for you to be quiet, please? Just wait for
The 2 of them just kind of look at each other. It's a man and a woman. They appear to have come together. They're about ready to beat the shit out of this couple next to him for the sin of telling them to stop being dickheads. But now you're here, and their attention is wholly focused on you. And in front, the woman, a grin spreading across her face as she's about to get the entertainment she really wanted here, lunges forwards down off the bleachers, fist already raised to swing. Doesn't appear we're going to be able to prevent this one from becoming a fight, but...
No.
Huh?
I would like to yell, "Follow me!" and I run out of the circus tent so it doesn't take place inside.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So as they come towards you, you head towards the edge of the tent, and there is, of course, an exit on the east side behind that far stand of bleachers. Let's take our break real quick. Our midstream thing here, a little bit late, but it's been an entertaining show so far. The finale is continuing in the center rings, and now Selwyn and Ara may have to make a stand against some particularly aggressive drunken brawlers. Well, who knows if the actors in the rings will have anything they can do other than look on. Well, we've got 2 strongmen who I think may be able to wrap this in their act fairly easily. Unclear, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Everybody, stay tuned. Shenanigans are coming. All right, welcome back, everybody. We got a finale to finish up. We got a show to wrap. We've got critical successes on our doorstep here for the payment. But we've got a problem. And that problem is, well, these two dumb assholes up here. I'm going to file them under dumb assholes. And we're going to need to roll some initiative as we go in here, because these two don't really seem like they're standing down. I could probably delete her last name, so it takes up less screen space on this very tiny Roll20 map. So I'm gonna have, again, everyone go ahead and roll. Though, if you are currently performing, so Zerg, Lizardman, Arbus, it may be difficult for you to engage. If you simply walk away from your show, that is going to be a critical failure, which is going to lower your excitement. It's an automatic critical failure to perform. That does not mean you are helpless or devoid of options, however. That's just if you fuck off and don't do anything, which is... Everyone in the rings just knocking out a goddamn park. Everyone who's right here, shitting their pants. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Alrighty, so let's see. Dude A, Dude B. Oh, good news. It seems like everyone here is slow to fucking start. I lied to you. I'm sorry. The woman's more interested in squaring up, while the dude is already like lunging with a pre-primed haymaker through the crowd here. Let's look up drop some fist. And then a tulip. I'll throw in here too. Who's also not really digging it. So, we have no player ties. So, Arabus. In the distance, you see this altercation forming. This is inevitable to come to blows at this point, unless, like, magic, literal magic happened. What are you thinking? You're performing right now. This doesn't take your performance actions, obviously. This is kind of like a subset, because the performance action is realistically several minutes. So this is in your performance. All right. You gotta keep going. Show must go on. Title of the book, Zerg, Lizardmen. You are both together in initiative, both performing, and you are in the nearest ring. No, I heard you. Zerg, you're up first.
They were saying
Ha 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 ha. That's my bad. I fucked up. I didn't flip the party back on when Mono came back.
On it.
I screwed up.
Gotcha.
I didn't flip the party back on when Mono came back. That's my bad. I have an extra audio cable now than I used to, which is useful because I can still hear my players when I'm on break, and I don't have to like go in completely fucking blind. Like, I hope everybody's ready because we're going, because I can't talk to you or hear you. But it does mean I have to remember to toggle it back on when we come back from break. Hooray! I was actually thinking I was on break chewing on saltwater taffy, musing like, holy shit, we've had 0 issues this stream. It's actually just functioned.
You fuck up. Yeah,
And then I
nice.
came back and shit my pants immediately. Yeah.
We were due.
So Shenmue, what did you do with your turn for the class?
For the class, I see it's going on, but I don't want to deviate from the performance because it might freak out Masako, my wolf. So I'm going to keep performing and stay here with him.
So Zerg, you're up next.
So at this point, Zerg has turned around and seen Lizard Man has broken out of his cage. Am I aware of what's going on as well in the stands?
Roll me a perception check. Because there is actually a perception DC to notice this fight before it starts.
16.
You would notice it, yes.
All right. Well, Zerg is a performer, and he's not going to end the show just because there's some nonsense. So I'm going to whisper to Lizard Man, trust me. Assuming Lizard Man has also seen what's happened. And I would like to grab Lizard Man and throw him in the general direction of what's happening.
No!
Oh my god!
Lizard Man, Lizard Man? Because you guys are performing, and your performance is mock fighting, so I don't...
Yeah.
Listen, first of all, Lizard Man, make me a perception check.
He
Okay.
would go
I think that's
with
going to be the easy one we go to here.
Yeah. If I don't see it, I'm more. Yeah, I don't see it.
'Cause if you
I'm
don't
more,
see this-
I'm more likely to trust him.
Oh, he
You have
doesn't see
no
it.
idea what's going on. That's a nat 1. This is part of the show. You have no idea what Zerg's doing. You're positive this is part of the
get it.
act. You have no idea anything's wrong. He's just getting a little more frisky than usual.
Yeah.
Trust
exactly.
me, little lizard. It's going to be okay.
So, Lizard Man, Zerg tries to throw you. Like, physically, bodily throw you.
I'm ready. So I get thrown. Where do I get thrown?
Do I need to do a check for that, or is that
Yeah.
just a...
Well,
Why don't
this
you
work?
just make me an athletics? Lizard Man is a large man. Zerg made me an athletics to throw.
26?
Now wait.
26.
Does that change
Critical
how
success.
far? Oh, never mind.
Critical success. Lizard Man, make me either I would say your own athletics or an acrobatics to kind of play with it, because you haven't practiced this. Acrobatics or a reflex save rather to roll with it and assist him. He's got a critical success.
Okay, so acrobatics or reflex, you say? I think that's
Acrobatics or
pretty
reflex?
reflexive. Okay, 24. Oh my god, I'm the best.
Oh my, you
24
guys are
reflex.
legends.
Best.
Are you sure you didn't practice this?
We practice this all the
They're
time. Are you
pro
kidding me?
wrestlers. man.
Every
He
man
is
has his
gonna-
problem.
As far as you fucking want, man. Like, up to there, wherever you want to throw him. Like, that's 2 critical successes.
Can he land? Can Lizard Man land on
Wait.
the problem makers?
You can't go quite that far. I mean, I'm letting
Okay.
you yeet him like 40 fucking feet, which is
Is that
pretty
how far it is?
impressive
Oh, yeah, it's
already.
pretty far, isn't it?
You're over. This is why the Dwarven throwers were a failure. They're like, what the fuck? Like, you're just doing their better on the other side of the tent.
As far in that general direction as possible.
So then there, and that would leave Lizard Man with all 3 of his actions there. But he has not noticed a fight is happening.
I've not. So I don't see the fight.
You would land
but
and see like Aura's right here, Aura and Tulip
I'm
are
like,
here,
what a
but you don't
weirdo.
know why.
Stop.
You're focused on your
And-
shit.
Yeah, so I see this and I'm like, I know exactly what he wants. And I sprint up the post that's right next to the stands. That in between those two in between those 2 bleachers. I sprint up the post. Yeah. Or no, on the other side. Sorry, I didn't realize there was 2.
Yeah, there's one
on
between
the
your
other
set of
side.
bleachers is the post.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
one of the support
I
beams.
sprint up and just roar. Just like full out roar. Sprint up the post, roar, and jump back in kind of towards the arena again.
Oh.
But like really try and intimidate like the crowd kind of in that.
So you run up. Okay, you run up, and this is still playing into your performance here. And you can just run up. Well, you have a climb speed, right? You can just run up this
Yeah.
post. Do you have a
Yeah.
climb speed, or do you have bonuses
No,
to
I
climb?
can climb. I wouldn't climb very high,
Yeah, so
but I can climb without hands. So I
So-
do like running up and jump back. I guess I would have to stay there for a second to roar.
make me an athletics check. Because you do
Okay.
still need that to climb if you don't have a climb speed.
Okay. Athletics. Oh, 13. I'm
That's fine.
not
I mean,
very
you
athletic
have
for this.
it's a rough wooden pole, and you have clawed feet. You're fine. 13 succeeds. You run up the pole, and then you just leap off, ending on the ground here, right in front of the bleachers, in front of the awestruck crowd, who is very excited by this performance, standing up, but in fact actually scooting back almost in fear as you come forward. The man of the couple, while his wife is posturing, grinning, and cracking her knuckles, just can't restrain himself any longer. He just can't do it. He's in there. And he's just gonna let out like a belly, almost bestial, like roaring laugh. Fun, finally! And run down the bleachers towards Selwyn. What is your AC?
18.
18. And he just totally lets himself go as he runs. Like, completely. This is the point where he has released restraint entirely, and he just is going mad. Like, near just drooling, wild-eyed as he runs at you. That's gonna be this. And he's gonna connect with a fist, swinging down towards this tiny gnome clown who dared step to him. And he's a pretty burly dude. And as his fist connects with you, you're going to take 6 damage. It's non-lethal, but in 2nd edition, non-lethal actually only matters for the attack that takes you to 0. If the attack that brings you to 0 is non-lethal, you're knocked unconscious. There's not like 2 separate bars you have to track anymore. And that is going to be it for his turn. Ara.
I'm going to start out with casting a spell. I'm going to cast Fear on the one who's furthest away. The girl, the woman.
Before she does anything else, stop her before she gets involved. She's clearly getting involved.
She gets a will save against my spell DC, which is 17.
Okay. Let me find her thing real quick. Wow, they are too drunk to be scared. Holy crap, that's a high will save. Okay. But regardless, she is going to fail.
On a failure, she's frightened 2.
Alrighty. So I will put that on her token here. And a frightened 2 means that all of her checks and DCs are going to be reduced by 2. So status effects in 2nd edition are pretty wide sweeping. It's everything. Her attack roll's 2 lower, all of her saves are 2 lower, all of her skills are 2 lower, her armor class is 2 lower. Everything about her is 2 lower. But that's going to just automatically improve by 1 every round as she gets over it. Tulip. Oh, yeah, those 2 actions. You have 1 left. My bad.
Yeah, can I attempt to demoralize the man as well?
You sure can. You can
So
yell at him.
I get a intimidate against his will, right?
It's intimidating against his will DC, yes. One of the cool things about 2nd edition is there's basically no opposed rolls anymore, so everything's a lot faster.
I rolled a 19.
They don't give a shit. Wow, I was wrong. They're too drunk to be scared. Nope, clearly fucking not. They're obviously fine. Or you're just horrifying. I definitely put the 2nd frighten on some
You
random
flex on him or
spectator.
just say something nasty?
Just kind of staring at him like a creepy little doll.
Oh no!
Well, he's creeped. He's frightened 1. Tulip. Her training kind of kicks in here. It's been a hot minute since she's been in a real fight. But she is, at the moment, somewhat emotionally dead, based on what happened with Thunder, and in absolutely no fucking mood to put up with this bullshit. So she is going to come up to the husband as he swings, and as he brings his fist down on Selwyn with a mighty thwack. And she's going to try to grab him. And that is going to be her athletics, which is tight, versus his fort DC, which is also tight. It's been a minute since she's done this. She has not been in a fight in some time, and she's not really in it. As she reaches out to try to protect you, so and try to grab this man, he almost effortlessly brushes her aside, and with such brutish force, he actually knocks her down to the ground. So then she's going to stand back up as her third action. And the wife, who was well on board with the plan of stepping in to beat up this gnome who came to ruin their fun, but is frightened too, is going to step forward as well and also try to swing at Selwyn. 18, you said?
Yes.
So the first fist is going to be a hefty miss. She's she's magically shaken. She's like actually terrified. But she's going to, but as she whiffs that one, she's going to look over towards our whatever fucking spell he cast in the distance, because it's super obvious. There's no, like, secret casting here. You incanted some stuff and pointed at her, and she was overwhelmed by dread. And just yell out, "You little wooden git!" And get very angry.
Me?
Selwyn. These two in front of you are raging.
Right. Yes. So, I'll look at Lizard Man for 1 second. Draw attention to the sensor. Don't let anything get over here. And then I'll look to Aura briefly. Run outside. And then I'll twin feint this one in front of me with fists. I can still dexterity hit, right? Without swords.
Fists are finesse, so yes.
Right.
Oh wait, are fists finesse?
I hope so.
Fist, 2e. Google will tell me real quick.
Yeah.
Fist are finesse, yes. They're
Okay.
agile and finesse, so you can dex with them, and they only have the -4 to follow-up attacks.
Right. Yes. I'll twin feint this one, the one who wasn't magically
The one who punched
shaken.
you. Yeah.
Yes. So first attack. It says kukri attack, but it's the same roll.
Okay. Yeah, because you got the same
And-
proficiency.
Yeah, and so 1d4 instead of a 1d6.
Okay, we can just roll the damage separately. So oh boy, that's a critical success. He punches you, punch him right the fuck back. That's a crit. So roll, just do a separate roll for whatever your damage
Yeah.
is, and just,
Double damage, right?
the whole damage is doubled. You roll it normally and double everything.
Okay.
Although on roll 20, I will posit to the crowd, being you guys and the chat, since it is feasible to roll twice as many dice, we certainly can. The reason it's written to be not is because Pathfinder 2 gets up to rolling so many dice. When you're swinging with like greater striking weapons and shit late game, you're going to be rolling 6d6. Spells are going to be like 20d6. So if you're rolling twice as many, it's literally not feasible at an actual table. But we're on roll 20. So if you run a roll twice as many fucking dice, we can totally do that.
I mean, at least early, I think rolling twice is more fun, right?
I like more dice too. I am a fan of more dice. Any opposed to more dice? No? Cool. So
all
roll
on
twice
board.
as many
Yeah.
dice.
So I hit him with like an uppercut haymaker. And pop him right in the face. And then from below comes another one that's fainted. So this will be 2 lower because it is fainted, so he is flat-footed to it.
Okay.
Is that another crit?
Jesus
Oh my god.
So, all right. You don't take your multiple attack penalty yet?
I do, but it's a twin feint, so it's 2 lower. It's 23.
Well, your roll is 4 lower. His AC is 2 lower. There's so many
Right, so
modifiers in
it's
second
a
edition. I
2
want to
lower,
keep straight
so,
where
yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah.
so he is flat-footed,
Yes.
and your attack roll is 4 lower.
Yes. So it's 21.
You get a 21, and he's flat-footed. That's another critical success.
Oh, boy.
He punched you. You're like,
Do not box
boy.
the clown.
How is sneak attack handled? Is that doubled on crits?
It is not doubled. You get it once, but it is also non-lethal if the attack is non-lethal.
Okay. So it's 2d4 plus 1d6 plus 8, right? I've got
Yup.
that right.
Sounds right to me.
And I deck him.
You knock this dude the fuck out. Like he,
Bah, bah. Asleep.
yeah, that guy's done. He's down.
That's awesome.
That's does leave you with
job,
one
team.
action left.
I'm gonna run towards the exit.
Okay.
Bop, bop.
There, realistically. He comes down, he punches you, and you just knock him the fuck out and run out of the tent. Run towards the edge of the tent. He thought he could pick on the tiny little gnome lady. That's what you get for your racism, you shit. Aravis.
Just keep.
What a masterpiece.
I mean, at this point, I'm more wrapped up in what's happening in this ring than anything else really going on. So, yeah, I would just be doing my performance.
Okay, Zerk, you hated Lizard Man, who has clearly no idea anything's happening, and he's bought into it with the performance and is flexing to the stands here.
Oh shit! There's just so much to process.
A lot of shit's going on right now.
So Lizard Man is still in front of the stands, getting ready to do some crazy shit. I'm going to. Zerg will cockily turn around to everybody else, flexing and I'm stronger than the lizard. And again, turning my back like an idiot. Is no problem, everybody relax. The monster man is under control. It's all good. And just flexing and maybe, you know what, let's do a couple backflips just for fun.
Just to really sell it. All right, Lizard Man. So at this point, I would say no perception check needed. You have noticed Selwyn fucking deck this dude. You have no idea why. You do your thing and you hear a punch and you turn and look and just see her drop this large dude and run Zoidberg up towards the edge of the tent. You have no fucking clue what's gotten into her.
I did tell her to.
Yeah, he
get back
didn't,
in
he didn't
there.
speak to you.
Yeah.
I'd blink like a little bit, like I'd have my face and in my jaw open, doing my strongman look, and then I'd look over and she'd drop the guy, and I'd kind of lizard blink one eye at a time, and then go back sprinting at Zerg.
You just rush back into the fucking ring.
And I tackle him as soon as he starts doing a backflip. Mid backflip.
Oh, wow.
I take this guy in a running sprint here.
Spare!
But you can kind of clearly tell, like, it's not like a super serious act. Like, I'm not trying to do, it's kind of almost laughing all the way over there. So it's taking a little bit of the excitement out of it, I guess.
It's too
It's
fucking
not-
funny.
So yeah, so I just sprint back in and try and maybe catch Zerg out of the air as he's doing at mid, like, kind of back.
All right, Ara, you're up. That chick threatened you, but then
did.
her husband got fucking destroyed. And now she's like looking in mixed horror and bewilderment at the clown sprinting out of the tent. Like,
And
what?
to add insult to injury, can I cast Fear on her again? It doesn't say she's immune to the spell after casting it on her.
She is not. You certainly can.
You prep 2 fears?
He's
am
spontaneous.
Oh,
So
he's
I don't
spontaneous.
have access to the whole list. I just have my 3 spells I know. But yeah, I cast Fear on her again.
She's just having the worst. I mean, I can't really feel bad for her. She definitely brought this shit on herself, like 1,000,000%. Make a will save. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Dread, and it's reduced because she's still frightened from the last fear.
Yep.
She fails again, so she's right back up to frightened 2.
Yep. And then I name her and run back towards Selwyn. So
So you can get over to
yeah.
here alongside the police who's just running after her. So Tulip picking herself off the ground as this dude just shoved her aside as like a side thought, and then would someone fucking knock him unconscious. Unclear on how your tiny fists even reached his jaw.
She punched him like Little Mac, like jumped.
Yeah, she did the jumping star uppercut to this dude or something. Like,
I feel like next to damage is going for like weak, like low blows, right? Like I hit
So
him in
you,
the solar
you
plexus
punched him
and
in the
crotch.
dick and he just fucking
Yeah.
collapsed. Okay, fair enough. It's text to damage. Yeah, that makes sense. You hit him in the dick, he bent over, you hit him in the kidneys, and he's done. But Tulip just is absolutely bewildered. And she just looks up at the other woman, who is now overwhelmed with a second wave of magical sorcerer's fear from Ara. And just kind of points to the edge and said, I think you best get going, sugar. And she's going to attempt to demoralize her as well. Because I guess we're all just at this point joining in and bullying the shit out of this woman. She is going to fail, but at this point it doesn't fucking matter. Like, this woman is done. Like, she's outie. She has clearly picked the wrong fucking fight here, and she is actually going to sprint past Selwyn and Ara with her haste to get the shit out of this tent, completely leaving the unconscious man behind. Just,
I hope since we solved this in 6 seconds, no one noticed.
you did actually put... All that happened, realistically, is he stepped forward and clocked you, and you fucking knocked him out instantly. It wasn't even a fight, like... And the little potato in the distance cast a couple of spells, and the crowd next to him was like, ooh, magic. Like, so the group of you head
Let's
backstage.
start dragging
once
this
more.
man out. Yeah, like just drag him out of here first.
You drag the unconscious guy outside. Just kind of leave him there. By the time you get his body out of the tent, the woman is nowhere to be fucking seen. She's gone. She's outie 5,000. And it's interesting because Aberton is to the west, and she just sprinted out to the east side, so whether she went around the tent or just took off screaming into the woods. Anyone's guess, really. But there's a performance happening, I do believe. And only one action has been spent. Although, if I'm correct, I don't know that anybody is intending to spend any more actions. If you critically succeed to perform, which you all have both a -5 for, because neither of you... Oh, your trait's agile. Zerg and Lizardman only get a -4. If you critically succeed with the penalty, you get 1 excitement and 1 anticipation, which just increases your payout but keeps the critical success. If you get anything else, you lose the critical success.
Nah.
I'm good. We coast.
Wait, that was an incredible performance. Thank you very much. He threw me 40 feet.
He didn't throw you 40
How does it
fucking
end,
feet.
though?
That shit was spectacular. So how does your performance end exactly? What is the end? How do you wrap this up? How do you coast this to its conclusion, Lizardman and Zerg?
Well, Lizardman tackled Zerg mid-air, right?
Midair.
Yes.
Mid-air. So I'm assuming there's a scuffle on the ground, little fake punches coming in and grappling and hooking. Maybe Lizardman is on top of Zerg. Oh, he's got me! Lizardman has got me! I cannot win! And then the overpower the roll. Wait! I've got these!
Oh no!
And you like kick here. You kind of kick up into his stomach, and he kind of vaults back into the cage. And you go back with the iron bars.
Never fear, everybody! The lizard is secure.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I can't really follow that, but I mean, so almost at the same time, the dance concludes. We both sort of back off. We're both facing each other. I curtsy to the wolf, and he bows to me, and then we bow to the crowd. And that's it.
In the other ring, the Dwarven Throwers have noticed the fact that they got absolutely and holistically upstaged by someone that's not even their act. And the 3 that are making the ballista just kind of stand up as one and turn over and just fucking salute towards Lizardmen and Zerg before they the two on the sides tumble backwards with little somersaults, and the third just jumps, lands on his back, and gets caught. And they just scooch to the center of the ring, where the one who had been thrown runs back over, jumps on, and just gets tossed maybe 10, 12 feet in the air, but they know their heart's not in it anymore. Their morale's been crushed.
That's right.
Their dreams are dead. Never have they ever been so upstaged in their entire lives. So, as the show comes to a conclusion here, the whole of Aberton seemingly roaring and fucking cheering with applause and joy as these last few acts finish and you retreat backstage behind the curtain to let the professor come out, who says a few words. He addresses the crowd, but he is almost completely, utterly fucking drowned out by just the riotous applause and cheers coming in. And I think it's pretty safe to say here that the Circus of Wayward Wonders opening night was not just a success, but a critical success.
Yeah.
We're
And
the
it's-
best.
We did the
It's-
thing.
It's
I'm glad
even
you
a
guys can cover.
slightly improved critical success, because as the fourth act ends successfully, you do get this one extra excitement that brings you up to exactly 16 excitement, exactly 16 anticipation. And boy, when you're counting the money at the end of the night, well, your ringmaster's dead, so it's not a good day, but it's going to be a better day than it otherwise would have. Now,
Who?
as the group of you gather backstage and the show comes down to its conclusion, the crowd outside cheering, wholly unaware that anything has happened, that really anything is wrong. The roustabouts have a lot to do. They have a lot of props to collect and gather around, but most of the performers have gathered back around Thunder's body, where he's still covered by his cape as the professor left him.
Shit.
I forgot
I-
about that guy.
I think we
I
should
sigh and
send
walk up to him, and I'm going to try and do a medicine check to see, like, is there like any blunt force or any like scratch marks or any blood like spilling everywhere?
So,
Like, can I
kneeling
see
down
why this guy died?
kneeling down to look at him, you don't immediately see any signs of injury or anything, but his body is very much distressed, especially after the couple hours it's largely by necessity had to have just been left here backstage. And this may seem callous, but this performance, it's not like you're just here for shits on time off from your day jobs. Like, this is all of your livelihoods. Like, if this show didn't happen, you didn't eat, you don't have money, you got nothing left to go on. But looking down at him, while not injured, something is clearly wrong. His legs are so swollen that you can't even actually roll up his pant legs to inspect them further. His trousers are sealed around his
I guess I
inflated
just tear those
calves.
off.
So yeah, using a claw, you just rip off his pants. And you can very clearly see numerous small punctures up around his hamstrings and his lower calves. Now, whoever wishes to can make a medicine check.
Oh, no, Jester the Grey. That swallows our hands. Oh, good lizard.
13, 23.
Medically inclined.
That was a critical success. So you would know, after having tried to deal with Ara and seeing what had happened with the Vipers in the stands, you are confident that those Vipers bit and killed Thunder. Now, somebody make me a nature check.
I got this. 9.
Somebody else make me a nature check.
There, I'll give it a try.
You corroborate that these are snake bites, clearly,
Oh,
by
gosh.
the pairings
Oh.
of the
Yes.
biting.
Does anybody else have nature?
I was about to say, let me.
Can you roll without being trained? Oh, never mind.
Oh,
There we go. I don't believe this check requires you to be trained. It does not. But
I am trained.
Ara, as you're looking down at him, I mean, you maybe, as evidenced by your inability to talk to snakes and you being just as effective at shooing them away almost as Arabus was, for some reason you have a weird connection with snakes, apparently. You can tell these little vipers, I mean, you saw how they acted in the bleachers. This man is near covered in these bites. They didn't just bite him. They bit him over and over and over and over. That's not characteristic of these snakes. That's not natural. That's not how they act.
Oh, I convey that. And I'm not the smartest, but I think these snakes were controlled by something.
Maybe someone else can talk to snakes.
I'd be surprised if they were controlled directly. They might have been let in, but given that
Well-
we're able to convince them to leave,
Well,
that
with
doesn't
them-
seem like control.
Well, a snake, when it bites, it kind of doesn't bite this much. I mean, the one that bit me only bit me once and then ran away.
They usually only bite in defense, not this offensively.
And Tulip is around here. Most of the performers are. The only ones who aren't here at the moment are the Dwarven Throwers and Mordrain. Tulip, as Shrug says, I mean, I mostly work with Mr. Tickles, of course, but I did a lot of reading up about these snakes when I first was putting this act together and getting to know him, and yeah, that don't seem right. They ain't the kind of creatures they are. They don't go after something like that unless they're intending to eat it, and even then, snakes are pretty one and done. They only bite like that. They're trying to get a better grip. They're not malicious creatures. That don't make no sense.
Do we think he's been dumped here after the fact?
Just as a off chance, can I do a quick cast of Detect Magic?
Yeah, you can absolutely. Like, Detect Magic is a cantrip. You can just cast it anytime.
Yeah.
And it sends out a pulse around you. It's a little different than first edition. It's not directional, and it doesn't tell you. It's literally a 30-foot aura of magic, yes or no. It doesn't tell you where they are. It doesn't tell you what school or anything. But still, you're a simple circus and simple folk. I doubt any of you have any kind of magical items. And with a quick cast of Detect Magic, nothing would register to you.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of things have been going wrong and a lot of things that people haven't noticed.
Whoo! That was fantastic! And Bartholomew claps a hand on Selwyn's shoulder. Thank you, little miss Selwyn. So it kind of stops.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but maybe another time. I'm happy you did good. Believe me.
I'm
But
so sorry.
yes. Don't worry about it. Just unfortunate timing.
I don't want to say I hadn't forgotten, of course, but geez, well,
It's fine.
I barely got a chance to know the man. Are we? Just kind of looks around. Everyone.
It's fine. Just let us examine it, and preferably in silence.
Right. Terribly sorry. And he backs, almost like shrinking away from the group here. If nothing else, absolutely withering under Tulip's fucking glare at him as he's backing away, probably somewhat in fear for his life.
Yeah.
And the other one of the another one of the Flamboni sisters. Fuck, I have their names. Where are your goddamn names? Tamiri's the other one. With her arms crossed, and the kind of the back of the group here just sort of shrugs a bit. But why though?
I don't know, but maybe if we find out the how, we'll figure out the why.
And the father of the Cambalis just throws a hand up. Oh, we all know damn well why. No one else wants to say it. Only one person would wish ill, much less death, upon Thunder or any of us or our show.
Who?
This celestial menagerie.
And everyone just
that
kind
is
of looks at
evil.
each other, and yeah, and Julessa speaks up. I guess this doesn't seem terribly outside of Mistress Dusklight's wheelhouse, does it?
That woman.
Well, if she shows up, I would have no problem killing her.
Whoa, okay.
Whoa.
Slow
Tulip-
down.
Tulip kind of puts her hands up like, all
Um,
right, well, love, we're all upset here, but, I mean, I don't think any of us are looking to stoop to her level. I mean, most of us all here now, we left the Celestial Menagerie together for the same reasons. To get away from all that.
Of course not.
Is Celestial Menagerie even nearby?
The Celestial Menagerie, I believe all of you worked with before the Circus of
Yes.
Wayward Wonders, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I
just a
know, but
quick-
is it nearby now?
Yeah, I'm just giving, because you guys know about this, but Chad
Of course,
doesn't.
yeah, of course.
The Circus of Wayward Wonders may have had a fantastic opening night here, but it's due in part to the fact we've got a long history of performances. Not only all of the player characters, but also the most of the other acts, the Flamboni Sisters, Tulip and Mr. Tickles, the Flying Kambales, they all came from an older circus, the Celestial Menagerie, run by Mistress Dusklight. It was a very harsh taskmistress. Celestial Menagerie is centered in Escadar, on the western side of the Isle of Arran. In fact, one of the reasons that you came to Aberton for your first big show is it is the major settlement that is the furthest away from Escadar and the Celestial Menagerie. It's literally on the other side of the island long ways. You couldn't get any further without leaving the island entirely. All of you, led by Thunder and the Professor, got together and split from the Menagerie to make this Circus of Wayward Wonders, to make this dream happen because of how terrible conditions were back in Escadar. Dusklight was beyond unfriendly. She's outright abusive to probably all of you. And it was a miserable experience until finally the group of you got the balls to stand up to her, leave, and start your own damn circus. And it does in fact seem you've all been with not only the Circus of Wayward Wonders for the year it's been putting together, but the Celestial Menagerie for some time before that. None of you can think of any other possible culprit. And this is... Well, some of you who may want to see the good in people might think otherwise. If you really think about it, it's definitely not beyond Mistress Dusklight. In fact, you've probably all heard rumors of similar things having happened before.
Right. Do we know if the monastery is close by, like physically?
No, it's in Escadar.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's you're a traveling circus. The menagerie is not.
Ah. Okay.
They don't move around. Yeah, they are
Okay,
stationed.
sorry,
they have
I
a
didn't
permanent
realize.
fairground in Escadar. Yeah, you left to make a traveling circus to be able to get away while still working. They're a permanent fixture.
I see. Well, first we'd have to ascertain whether or not anyone from that circus could have even been here. If it was her, we need proof. Basically, accusing him won't do anything.
We could try to find those snakes.
At this point, the professor approaches the group here. His persona from the ring and from the stage fading instantly as the curtain drops behind him, as he comes up to join the rest of you. I know that probably seemed harsh to spur you on like that, and I'm sorry. Tulip especially. I know you two were very close, but we had little choice. Trust me. I wanted more than anyone to put everything on hold and get to the bottom of this, but we don't work, we don't eat. I'm sorry. I took a look while the performances were going briefly, but I'm not a doctor. Any of you able to ascertain anything? Should we reach out to the mayor of Aberton? I believe he was here tonight.
Well, I'll just solicit. I believe you were the one who diagnosed him.
It seems as though Thunder was attacked by snakes, but many times, and it doesn't look natural.
And, Tulip, her composure's starting to slip a little bit now as, like, the show is over and this is starting to kind of settle on her, and she's, like, almost shaking a bit. Well, if he got bit by the snakes, there's a church in Aberton. There's a house of Abadar. They got clerics, right? They can heal. They got them kind of magics, a divine sword, bringing people back from the edge of death and whatnot. We can reach out to them.
I have no idea. I have never heard of such a thing.
I'm no spellcaster. Well, partially. But I don't know we have the money, even if they could bring him back.
Jalessa speaks up again. Well, that was put on a right good show there. Imagine the profits of one we were anticipating, but I don't know about nothing about magic. And your sister chimes in. Oh, well, we could ask Mordraine. Mordraine's a magician, right? I don't know if she know nothing about divine magic.
I don't think she's divine at all. I think
The professor
we may
shakes
need...
his head.
Gray, do you know? You will matching, right?
I don't know any magics that powerful.
Well, that's why we reach out to the clerics then, right? We don't have to have it ourselves. We can pool the coin. I'll give what I got, surely. We'd be willing to pull together for this, right? For Thunder?
I just have no idea what it would cost. I don't even know with everything we had we could make it up. But I guess we could reach out.
And the professor puts up a hand. I don't know that this is the best course of action right now. I've seen what happened during the show. Not only has someone or something poisoned Thunder, I saw what happened with the snakes in the stands. Tulip told me what happened with Mr. Tickles, and I heard from the Kambalis about their nets. I can't help but fear something is terribly amiss here, and we very well may not be safe. Everyone else just kind of falls silent at that.
So what does that have to do with us reaching out to Abadar?
I don't know who or what is orchestrating all of this, but it's near impossible to have been coincidence. I can't take the risk of hoping that Thunder is the worst of what they seek to do. We need to take care of ourselves first. We need to make sure we're safe. If nothing else, you all know it's what Thunder would have wanted. He wouldn't want more of us to run off recklessly, possibly right into whoever or whatever's plans, and suffer more harm, or Abadar forbid, loss of life. Did anyone see anything? Anyone out of the ordinary today at all? And everyone just kind of looks around at each other and nothing. But if anyone wants to make a perception or a survival check to kind of scour the area around here,
Yes.
any kind of sign.
Okay, I will also.
I got a 10.
Got a 19.
I also got a 10.
High five, bro.
I got a 15.
So, Lizard and Ara. Ara, was yours a survival or perception?
Perception.
Actually, just Lizard then. Lizard, as you look around here, you would notice something a little bit off in the dirt here. I mean, it's tent. There's no floor. It's just bare dirt ground here backstage. All around not only Myron Steadall's body, but sweeping the area all around that and leading back out of the tent. You can see a huge amount of clustered, very tiny rat tracks. I mean, you live in a tent, you have a bunch of cargo. Rats are not uncommon, but this was a fuckload of rats. This was not 2 or 3. This looked like it was a horde that moved together. If there was anything else to be learned from the dirt here, the bazillion rat prints would have obscured it completely, even if there were hope around your own and your roustabout's movements. to have found any odd or errant footprints. They laid outside before just scattering into packed dirt, not too far beyond the reaches of the tent itself. Without any kind of a check, as Lizardman points this out to everyone, you would know, obviously, this is not normal behavior for Reds.
I'm pretty good at tracking things. Could I glean anything from this?
Make me a survival check.
This new knowledge. 22.
With a 22, that is pretty solid, but you can easily follow them around a few places to the tent. It looks like this pack of rats, this swarm, they actually moved together as a unit, almost intentionally, as if guided. The swarm is concentrated around Myron's body, but it trails to there from the cage where Mr. Tickles is kept. Then heads back down towards the edge of the tent, sweeping over towards the crates where the Featherfall 5 nets are kept, before heading back outside. Once it's outside again, it's just hopeless to try and follow through rats through nature. But this seems to have either been an extreme coincidence or responsible for nearly everything that happened tonight.
I relay all that to them.
Professor, as they kind of follow you around as you're tracking this throughout the backstage area. Well,
Where'd the snakes come from?
where did any of this come from? And if it leads back outside, as he gestures past the tent to where all of your wagons and your carts and your animals and everything are all just set out south of your tent. I am at a loss. It may not be safe for any of us to head outside. At least not back to our wagons. Well, that I don't know. The crowds will take some time to filter out back to town, but
Does anyone else see any problems with us checking with the Abadar people?
I think we
Well,
need
it's
to
a
secure our grounds first. I don't want to take any further risks. This appears now to clearly have been targeted at us and our circus, not just at Thunder. You, 5, I trusted you with the show. You've been with us for some time, but I saw the initiative you took during the show with those hooligans and drunkards. And Selwyn especially, it seems damned sure you can handle yourselves. Many of us can't. You're clearly capable. I know Aura and Arabis, you have magic at your disposal, actual magic. Could you at least, before you head into town, ensure the grounds, our trailers are safe for us to return to?
We can manage that, right? I guess.
Happily?
Great. While I have you, do you have any of those healing magics? I punched the dude really, really hard, and my wrist is still very sore.
Oh, of course. Whatever you need, Selwyn. Let me look at it for you.
And you can definitely tell my injury is from being punched extremely hard.
Certainly not anything else.
Yeah, your fist is in really bad shape. Let me just touch you on the chest, and I would cast heal on him.
Nice.
All right, so go ahead and roll me your heal. Or it's gonna inherently bring him back to full health, right? It doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, I think it's just full.
Yeah.
Because you only took 6 damage, right?
I only took 6, but I still feel my health.
So, yeah, well, but it's D8 plus 8 is what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
he's 100%
Alright,
is going to heal you back to full. It doesn't matter when he rolls at all.
Yes.
So, Arvis' healing magics course through you. Lightning a lot the bruise left on your face, but still leaving some mar of the injury and some dull pain. And as that happens, the professor nods again. Well, you do raise a good point, I'm afraid. We already know our backstage area has been tampered with and compromised, and we need to break down. It can't be left too long or we risk too much damage to the tent, and we may not have the funds to recover from that. But after your showings tonight, all of you, we're better off than we thought we'd be. I'm sure Thunder is proud of us. What do you suggest? Anyone?
I think we should start by securing the castle. St. Grants.
And Tulip speaks up. I think we should at least stick together. Stay around somewhat. I understand if you five are going to go off and check wagons and whatnot, but no one should be heading back into their wagons, and no one should be off alone. The campfire's right there, not 30 feet away. I'm sure we can get over there perfectly fine. It gives us a better view, too. We can't see outside too well from inside these tents, and if whoever's doing this wants to come after us, I feel like we'll be caught more well off guard. And again, you guys will have heard enough. You've known Tulip long enough to know. She used to be a Pathfinder Ranger, and this is actually largely exactly in her wheelhouse. Although clearly from her display during the fight, a lot of her more active skills may have left her. She knows a lot of this strategy and safety, and especially in situations like this where you're worried about ambush or something. And Professor nods, says that makes a lot of sense to me, and I trust your judgment. All right, then. We'll move to the campfire together. Everyone who is not necessary for the good of the circus's continuing. The animals do need to be tended to, and we need some of the roustabouts to begin breaking down supplies, but do it in groups. 3 of you together at a minimum. Watch out for any signs of trouble, and please, by the gods, keep yourselves safe. We'll send no one else to Pharasma this day, you hear me? And everyone just kind of nods, a couple eyes, of course, throughout the crowd. And the group of you, all together, slowly make your way.
Before we go outside, can I take 10 minutes in game?
Yeah.
I need to realign with the first world.
And
I change my cantrip.
So here, as we spread out to search the circus grounds, tend to what needs to be tended to, and try to track down whoever's responsible for this, is where we'll leave our first session of the Extinction Curse. When we return next week, well, we know exactly what we have to do. We don't know if the grounds are safe. And by all that is holy in metagaming, since it has a map, it sure as shit isn't. So, I think that's a pretty fucking good session 1, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely.
Miraculously took off with only one minor technical issue that was less a technical issue and more entirely my fault, because I got a slightly new system for audio cables and I just forgot to unmute you guys when I came back from break because I suck. But now I know that one, so I probably won't fuck that up again. Before we leave, so you guys can just kind of revel in your victory, your critical success here, your fucking spectacular first show. You ended up with 16 excitement and 16 anticipation. You got that one critical success from Bartholomew, just upping the ante a little bit, but you leveled it out perfectly in the end. As an added bonus, because your finale was successful, that bonus 1 excitement is going to carry on to your next show. And the next time you perform, wherever it may be, whether it's Aberton or elsewhere, you'll start with 1 free excitement. Now, your payout is pretty straightforward. You're not a very prestigious circus. This is your first show. Your prestige is 1. But your final anticipation was 16. It's pretty simple. Prestige plus that number, 17 total. In gold pieces is how much a successful show would put out. But this was a critically successful show. So, not only do you make 34 gold pieces for the circus. That's profits. That's after running costs and everything. You come out 34 gold ahead, and in second edition, that's a fucking lot, because that's what would have been 340 gold in first edition. Second edition has moved to a much more reasonable silver standard. The normal coin is a silver piece, not a gold piece. You probably noticed that when you were creating your characters and you only had 15 gold, that everything's kind of been divided by 10 to be more realistic. So that is a shitload of money, and aside from that, with such a successful opening show, your prestige isn't increasing to 2, it's not increasing to 3, it's increasing to 5. As the Circus of Wayward Wonders comes out of the gate fucking swinging hard. Literally, in Selwyn's case. I can't believe how you beat the shit out of that guy.
That was awesome.
That dude's gonna remember the show forever. I guarantee you that
Is he
one.
still laying in the stands and everybody's
Probably,
gone?
yeah.
No, we pulled him out.
I'm sure you pulled him out. He's outside, like just leaning against the barrel or something, fucking napping. But we had a couple of close calls. We had a very dangerous poison situation, and now we don't know what it is we're getting into in the aftermath of Myron Stedhall's murder. But we'll find out next week. Thank you, chat, all of you guys for being here, for supporting us as we premiere this show. Thank you, all of you guys in the party, for helping me put this together and being here and putting on a fucking great show. If you want to check out more of this motherfucker down here, Zerg, who is just as hilarious on his own stream, and you get way more of them, drop your fucking link in the chat. Twitch.tv/themonolith. He is streaming pretty much the rest of this week. This was his day off. I cannibalized your day off. I'm sorry. I cannibalized your day off to come do beautiful things over here. And this guy recently actually did, I'm going to give you the credit, get into consistently streaming again. I know you did it for a little while, and then you kind of fell out of it, but you're doing a good job of actually keeping on top of it, which me and Mono can both attest to is a fucking challenge, especially when you're just starting out. So if you think Zendaren is hilarious, you like puns, or you want to see mediocre Dead by Daylight gameplay, now that I've stopped providing you with that, or if you're an idiot, twitch.tv/Zendaren is his thing. I don't know if you have a schedule rather than you just kind of stream when you have time.
Well, the schedule I will try to follow, which I've been going a little bit 4 and 2, is 18:30 to 22. So 6:30 to 10. CET, Central European Time.
Neat. I don't know what that is my time, but you can definitely you can plug that into your time zone calculators at home and find that one. But that's gonna be it for us today, everybody. What a fucking spectacular session! I'm so happy with this.
So good.
Same.
Next week, it really kicks off though. Today was the show. Next week is the Pathfinder. We're getting into the adventuring time. Good night, everybody.
I'm very surprised how much